Are you listening? Damn.
All right, welcome into AFC North Talk. We are back after our July hiatus. Almost forgot how to start the show, actually. So it's still preseason as well. So apologize for that. We're supposed to be talking about the edge rushers today. That is the plan for today's show.
It is funny because
some news happened. Maybe I don't know. Maybe our patrons know a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Couple things happened.
Yes.
Couple things happen. All right, well, let's set the tone here. We are AFC North Talk. If it's your first time joining us, first of all, welcome to the show. We are a roundtable show all about the AFC North. I am Tony Serino. I represent the Pittsburgh Steelers. We got my guy Ace over here representing the Cincinnati Bengals. Ace, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Definitely glad to be back with you fellas. Glad we were able to at least reconvene during the break with some of our patrons, with some of those. So if you guys aren't a patron of the show, please be sure to do that, because if you haven't seen us since a month ago, if you were a patron of the show, you would be able to get some of that. But it's glad to be back with you fellas. I'm just glad we got football on tonight, right? Like, it's kind of crazy. It kind of snuck up on you. It's like, oh, no, it's not real football, but it is football. So, it is what it is.
I was telling Sonny this before the show started. I'm out in Pittsburgh in the Latrobe area for Steelers training camp right now, and there is a sports book not too far from me. And I'm not saying that I'm going to gamble on tonight's game, because I'm not, but I'm definitely. If I seem like I'm rushing through tonight's show, it's because we got an hour and a half till kickoff, boys, and I'd like to get some bets in before this thing gets going. But let's
don't need that 800 number. We're gonna have to get it.
Hey, listen, I am gonna. All right. Well, also intros here. Sonny from SZG Sports. He represents the Baltimore Ravens. Sonny, how are you?
I'm doing good. Obviously, I'm not in England right now. Little sad note, my grandma passed away, so I'm in Puerto Rico right now. But I'm happy to be here with y'all. I will say this: I miss it. I have been missing the AFC North, and happy to be here. Happy to everybody on Twitter that's been hitting us. Hey, were you guys coming back? Like Ace said, we did 2 videos on Patreon during that break. And our hope is to do a couple more contests on Patreon. Patreon's a way for you guys also to help us a little bit more. And let me plug something here, because Tony's talking about betting. We are coming with a fantasy football league, different from what you think fantasy football. Ours is a survival league. We usually include a prize fight. It's a free league. It's open to everybody, so make sure you follow us on Twitter. And we'll also throw it through here, but on Twitter it will be the first notification. So make sure you follow us there so we can have you there. Last year was fun. We all got bounced about week 9-ish. That's when we lost. So all 4 of us will be playing, and I think it was week 13 the person that won, or week 14.
Yeah, they lost for a while. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'm sure we have a lot of Browns fans in chat tonight. Quincy Carrier represents the Cleveland Browns in this show. He will be joining us here shortly. So we'll have all 4 teams represented. But it's not just us on this show. We want you to be involved in this show as well. Super chats are open, and we read every super chat on the air as long as it is safe to show on air, just like this one from Ray Rags, one of our longtime fans. Gave us a $5 super chat and said, "I'm glad you guys came back to a very quiet week with absolutely no news whatsoever." Yeah, it's really in the AFC North. It's just, what is there to talk about?
Nothing. But I will say this. We obviously did a video, and we, again, Twitter, we announced it on Twitter. We talk about the Deshaun Watson. We don't want to hash that story because that's what we have our Patreon video. But one thing I think we all said it in that Patreon video, and again, you had to watch our conversation, was we don't think the NFL will appeal this.
No, not all of us. Not all of us. Not all of us said that.
One person was rooting for that.
No, there was one person that called it. There was one person.
I said Roger Goodell is this stupid that I wouldn't put it past him. And here we are. We live in a world where Roger Goodell, the worst commissioner in sports, is going to make an absolute fool
I was shocked. Shocked. Right? Because we talked about it, and that came what? My days have smushed during the time that I've been here. Is it last night that came that, or this morning?
Yeah,
and I was like, what? He's really doing this shit? No way. But anyway, and the other news on the AFC North was your boy got paid.
Diontae, what a deal! What a deal!
Hey, that was a very team-friendly deal, in my opinion.
Well, it's a very, very intriguing deal. I'm probably going to do a video on my own channel breaking it down even further. But like the TLDR of it is a very team-friendly deal, right? $18 million a year, but it is very un-Steeler-like. I mean, I think that new GM Omar Khan is a little more willing to play with this guaranteed money, like a lot of these other teams are doing. I think the number is like 28 or $26 million of the 36 that he's getting is fully guaranteed in this deal. And if you guys know the Steelers and the way they do their contracts, they usually don't guarantee that much money in a deal. So it does seem like Omar Khan is a little more willing to open the checkbook when it comes to that guaranteed money, and that helped get this deal done. It's only a 2-year deal, but still, I think it's a good deal for the Steelers and for Diontae. He's going to get a bunch of guaranteed here, so it's not like if anything were to happen to him with injury or whatnot, he has nothing to worry about. He is getting that guaranteed money.
Because in our internal chat, I was surprised, right? Like if you would if he would have played the season, he gets his normal numbers, you would have thought next year he would have gotten a bigger pay raise. My whole point is he doesn't know how these quarterbacks are going to be, right? He does not know if Mitch is going to be better than Big Ben or not, if KP's going to be the starter or not, if he's going to be better. So the risk is you
forgot a name. You forgot QB1, but
Mason Rudolph.
Another decent day of practice for him today, by the way. But we'll talk about that over on my channel.
So he will be like, damn, if I take a hit in my numbers, people might think I'm not that good, and then you're looking for a prove me deal, and then you might get an injury. So I think he got ahead of himself. Yeah, he got a little bit less, but he's just thinking, it's only basically a 2-year deal. So whoever the quarterback is, let's say if it is Mitch Trubisky, and Mitch provides to be a good quarterback with him, then in 2 years, Mitch is there. Boom, he hits the open market, still young, getting another payday. So I think it was a good deal for both sides.
Yeah, I think Tony's happy about this one because I think the writing on the wall is that Chase Claypool is not going to get that deal. I mean, I feel like obviously a lot of people talked about Pickens being the replacement for Claypool, right? Very similar body build. Now, Claypool is going to play in the slot this year, right? But eventually the notion has to be there's no way that they're paying 2 of these guys after they just drafted 2 wide receivers when you talk about Austin as well. So I think that this spells kind of the end potentially of the Chase Claypool thing. I think that they made the right decision because I think Diontae Johnson, of all the wide receivers in that locker room, that's the guy that you want to invest in. And then you can replace Chase Claypool with some of the other guys that they have there. So I think the writing on the wall for Claypool is there, but at least you get something out of him this season and see what he can do in greener pastures. But I think this was a smart move for them to do that because what you didn't want to risk is having both of those guys potentially leave in the offseason. You had to lock up one. I think they did the smart move and got Diontae Johnson in the fold.
But Claypool's not a free agent, right?
Claypool has 1 more year. He's got 1 more year after this.
One more year. So he's in the T. Higgins kind of situation.
Exactly.
So like with the Bengals for us, we're going to try to extend T. Higgins after this season because he would be a free agent, and Claypool's in that same class. So that's why I'm saying the writing on the wall is pretty much there that they'll probably likely let Claypool walk in the offseason.
The question will be, Tony, and I don't know what you think, but if Claypool does not play great, you think next offseason, not this year, but next offseason, you might see the Steelers moving from Claypool?
Yeah,
especially if he keeps his bizarre stuff.
It's my favorite part of going to a training camp like this is you get to hear all the other fans talking, right? You're in a crowd of people and you just get to hear all these other conversations. And it is, I bet now the conversation to this point, because Diontae was holding out, is every Yinzer is like, they got to trade this guy, trade him. I'll take. One guy next to me said, if Green Bay offered me a 2nd round pick tomorrow, I'd take it immediately. It's like, all right, kid, why? Calm down. But I think that conversation, you're right. I think that conversation is going to switch to Claypool now. And look, we're okay. Usual caveats about talking about training camp. Again, we haven't played a preseason game yet. It's not a regular season at all. It's just camp practices. But man, George Pickens does not look like the kind of player who's going to be giving that job up. So, yeah, I mean, if Claypool can't make it in the slot, then yeah, I think you could potentially be talking about moving on from him a year from now.
Dallas wouldn't be a bad person to give a call right now with them looking for a receiver out there. I mean, if I was going to ask you that, but I was like, there's no way the Steelers are going to trade away a piece like
Claypool. Not this year.
Not
this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's let Pickens and Austin look exactly like you would have thought.
Yeah,
but they're rookies. Exactly. It's like, it's the Diontae Moncrief thing, right? Diontae Moncrief had a great training camp that year, and I've never heard the end of it, right? So I've learned my lesson. Let's chillax on training camp practices. And
I need to find that video. We need to find that video somewhere out there.
He broke his finger.
Hyping Moncrief.
He broke his hand or whatever. Broke his finger. That's why there's an alternate universe where Diontae Moncrief doesn't break his hand and he's the greatest Steeler receiver of all time.
I'm pretty sure they're giving away Steelers Diontae Moncrief jerseys at Goodwill for free. They're not charging. Just take it.
Not my best take. I'll say that. All right. Nova Stone here with a $2 super chat. Nova Stone, by the way, is our resident both Ravens and Tom Brady fan. For those of you who don't recognize Nova Stone,
then Ravens.
That's right. It is Tom Brady. Ravens. Yeah. He says Deshaun Watson almost the same number of games as Tom Brady for knowing science. I love it. I love the ideal gas law. I love that every Brady / Patriots fan knows can give you like the inner workings of the ideal gas law and why that ball was not deflated. It was just the temperature.
The temperature. Oh, man.
Chill.
Oh, hey, believe me, as a guy that ended up with Ben Jarvis Green Ellis on our team because he didn't fumble the ball, and then he got to Cincinnati and played with some regular balls and fumbled all over the place. I do believe in that.
It's not a conspiracy theory, Case.
It's not a theory.
Yeah, it's not a theory. Yeah, that's reality. All right, Nova Stone here says for $2 says only 24 victims and no remorse. Definitely a psychopath. I mean, look, I don't want to, I don't know what the second part of that, but I do think the no remorse part. It was that Brown statement was so weird when they said Watson has been remorseful in this. Meanwhile, every time we've heard Watson talk, he's basically just denied the entire thing. I thought that statement was poorly worded, to say the least.
Sure.
All right, let's see if I got any more super chats here. I think we're good on super chats. All right.
Okay.
So like I said, we're going to talk edge rusher today. I don't know about you guys, talking about kind of the meta of this ranking. I was surprised how close, as I started to look into the numbers, my top three. I know that there's going to be an argument between 1 and 2.
Right.
There's a third team in this race.
Wait, there's 4 teams here. Wait. There's 4 teams.
Well.
Are there?
Sonny, this is a bit like me. This is a bit like me during the quarterback debate. It's like there's one team where it's like,
I'll sit back and enjoy the show.
Exactly. This may be one where just make some popcorn and we'll let you enjoy the fun. All right, here we go. Oh, wild Quincy Carrier appears.
I'm giving up secrets right now because I have what I was just got out of recording while I'm late here. But yeah, how y'all doing? Anything break?
Great.
Any news break? I was up for an hour. Hey, they changed it to a whole year, 2 years, 12 games.
Forever.
They do anything yet?
Forever suspension at this point. Who knows?
It's not gonna be forever.
The best part of this is now, and this happens every once in a while, where like sports analysts have to become legal experts because there's the whole question now of, okay, what if they do come down in the appeal and say a year, and then the NFLPA has to go to federal court, right? And they're going to try and get an injunction to stop this thing. Does he play week 1? I mean, is there a world in which we had talked about a 6-game suspension, and now there's going to be a 0-game suspension essentially for 2021 when we let this play out in the courts?
Well, it's not going to be 0. Because what and I'm tired of trying to figure this out. It's kind of like following the salary.
Quincy Carrier is now our legal expert on the show. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is like following the salary cap. To be honest, every time you think you know something about it, you find out that you knew absolutely nothing about it. Right? Like from what we know from here, we have no idea how all of this is interpreted. But from what I can tell, from what's been interpreted, is in order for him to be eligible to play week 1, they have to appeal the initial 6-game suspension. They're not going to do that. So then an injunction doesn't become about whether Deshaun gets to play week 1. It's about whether he gets to play week 7 when the original suspension is over. This would be about appealing and having an injunction over whatever new suspension that the NFL determines for him. So that's what that would be. Whatever that is, I'll just say this. It logically would make sense. And the NFL would probably make the people who are upset at them happier if they did go indefinite suspension here for a year and made him, do the whole counseling thing and reinstate. And he probably at some point, once he settles all these cases, has to do what Kobe did, which is, sound like you have some common sense about this situation and some self-awareness about what it is that you're actually been accused of. But I understand once he still has an active legal case, he doesn't have the freedom to speak what might be truthfully about this. So I'm going to give him until then to judge fully about how he has answered about his innocence or not, given that he has an active case on him or why he's perceived as he is perceived. But that's what they want. And basically what the league wants more than anything, people think they want to punish him. The league does not care about punishing Deshaun Watson.
They want to move away.
Well, the league doesn't want, we give you 12 games, we don't make you do counseling, and then this pops up again, and people are telling us that you could have nipped this in the bud. Who knows if they could have, but you could have done something sufficient about this, and you didn't, and it pops up again. Honestly, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I don't even mind the indefinite suspension as much as some people are going to assume they wouldn't mind it, because one, the contract gets pushed back a year, so you don't have to pay, or you don't start accruing years on that contract till next year because it's an indefinite suspension. And then two, you would have that security of knowing he's going to go a whole year without incident, right? Like he has to go a whole year without incident. If he does not, we
might have to go a whole career without an incident at this point.
Well, he's going to have to go a whole career, but you feel much better if you're the Browns about his chances of doing that. If he goes a whole year without football in his life, doing the whole counseling thing, and he sounds more remorseful and that all that stuff, you'll feel a lot better about that bet after that. And the public would have got their pound of flesh with Deshaun Watson, right? Like they want to hear that the people are going to be off your back about it. Then people are going to do what they always do, is let's give him a second chance, whether people deserve it or not. That's the America's pastime, right? We love giving dudes second chances from things.
Like Michael Vick,
right? We felt like they've paid their price to society or whatever it is. If as long as the public feels like they got their pound of flesh, and that's what happened with Michael Vick. There was somebody, Michael Vick could never play again. He was fighting dogs and it's illegal. He went to jail for 2 years, and then he came back. And what did people start saying after he started playing well? Well, he paid his debt to society. You know what I mean? Like that's just what it's going to be. People want to get this thing, and you can be mad at me for pointing it out. I'm not the person who determines how society acts in this way. I'm just pointing out what happens here, right? So they're going to give him his second chance if he does all of those things. Honestly, for me, I just want this to be over. I don't care if it's 8. I don't care if it's 6. I don't care if it's 12.
You don't want to talk
I don't
about this
care
anymore.
if it's a whole season. I just want to be able to talk about football, right? And if it's Deshaun Watson playing football, cool. Let me know how many games brother gonna be on the field for. But if he's not, let's talk about this Jacoby Brissett thing. I think there's something to indicate that he could improve in the system in the offensive line as good as this. But I know what I can talk about right now. This Deshaun Watson thing is in the way. And I understand nobody's going to feel bad for me because the Browns have traded for this situation. And I'm not asking for sympathy or anything like that. I'm just saying, me personally, I know a lot of people think that I'm like defending him or whatever it is. I'm pretty sure the people who have done this show with me knows that I have not defended his actions 1 second here on this show ever. But all I'm saying is, one, NFL, this process is goofy. I don't know what this process is. This is a very bad process. And honestly, it's not even good for the NFL. Like, I don't know what they're trying to achieve here. And now they're like trying to prove something by getting an outside judge that's worked with them This just looks dumb.
Well,
this is
okay. We got a couple super chats to get through. By the way, we got a couple massive super chats. So shout out to Ray Rags here.
Shout out Ray Rags for sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate
so we did do obviously, everyone wants to hear our thing on the Watson thing. We did a full episode on the Deshaun Watson thing over on our Patreon. So we're not going to rehash all of it. Obviously, we'll give you some thoughts here tonight based on these super chats that came in. Ray Rags with a $20 super chat said, I decided to actually read the conduct policy. There's a few things that stood out to me. One thing is it's only 8 pages long, and the way they worded the SA.
That's
and
that's what the crime
sexual
is.
assault. Yeah, okay.
But
yeah,
you
okay,
can't say it on YouTube. He's trying to help us out.
Appreciate that.
There you go.
All right.
You know, maybe it's like TV.
First time offenders punishment is really weird. He then, by the way, we have another one from him. This is a $50 super chat. So Ray Rags too generous tonight. He said they didn't put the owners in or held to a higher standard line in the policy, so it's one separate line by itself. The way they worded it, the first time offenders punishment is the reason I believe she only gave him 6 games. Yeah, we went over this a lot on the Patreon. You know, again, a lot of people have this misconception, and it's been interesting to kind of hear, you know, my friends and people who aren't as engaged with the National Football League as we are talk about this, because, you know, I think there's a lot of people who feel like the NFL or this lady found him innocent, and that or found that these weren't credible. Some of these weren't credible, and that's why it's only 6 games. It's like no. So that's why I do think there's a world in which the NFL actually gets away with this. Like if they do the year, they actually might, in some way, Roger Goodell might be so dumb that he actually Mr. Magoo's his way into the best outcome for the national.
It's lucky. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, here's why I say this is also the NFL we're talking about. There's been nothing preventing them from being right in these situations in the past, but they've always done stuff that makes people go, well, why'd you do that? You know what I mean? That's just what I wouldn't count out here with the NFL is like, man, I don't know what they're going to do here. I don't know what they're going to decide. This, honestly, the most NFL thing that I felt like is like, yeah, this is what the NFL is going to do is that 12-game thing because they want him to not play. This has been confirmed by multiple sources nationally. They want him to have a 12-game suspension because they don't want him to play in Houston. They want,
really?
They don't want.
That's dumb.
This sounds like conspiracy theory stuff. Like Schefter's been on this report. This is not like a far-fetched out there Twitter guy. This has been confirmed by multiple sources that are very credible. The reason they want 12 games at the very least is because they don't want him playing that Houston game, because they feel like that would be a bad look for them. I'm here to tell the NFL. Houston fans are going to bring them same signs.
Yeah, it's not
whether he's playing or not. This is not about Deshaun Watson as much as it's about how they feel about Deshaun Watson. And those feelings are going to be there, and the Browns are going to be enough of a reminder of that for them to show him how he feels about that. Like that, I'm just here to tell you, I've been in them situations before where the entire city hates a player. The player being there does not necessarily stop the hate from being there. So, you know, this is peak NFL. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. I'm done trying to figure out and guess what the process is going to be. Just wake me up when they announce the suspension, and hopefully this doesn't go to federal court because I'm not trying to see this go on for more than a year. I just want this thing to be done with.
Ray Rags here with another $10 super chat says, to be fair, Mary Kay said that she's not gotten confirmation from the NFL or the Browns that the contract will be pushed back. I think it's been a weird part of this is the whole monetary aspect. Whether it's for the $1 million or for the 20 mil, I think that part of it, not to defend the Browns, but I don't, if there's a conspiracy there that they designed the contract that way to protect him from suspension, it's far more likely they designed the contract that way because it's more cap friendly. That's how everybody does it. You have a low year one salary and then it balloons in future years. Yes, it looks bad in this case because he was likely to be suspended, but I don't know that there's a conspiracy about that.
I think Quincy, most of you, the way that you guys do most of your players, it's like that anyway, right? It's not just
that's how most players nowadays get contract extensions. It's the same thing that's happening with Kyler Murray. It's only going to get picked up on in this situation because it can be painted as that. But this is the generation, this is the era of news we live in where it's kind of just how you can make somebody feel about certain information rather than if that information actually represents what you're trying to portray out that situation, right? It's misinformation at that point.
Yeah. Nova Stone here with a $2 super chat says Vic showed remorse, and then of course obviously he went to jail for his crime, and then he also says you aren't a first-time offender if you have 24 cases. Well, I guess that's true. By the 20th one, I guess
it's a weird way because it's the first time he's had 20 cases on him. But
Nova Stone,
they all came at the same time too.
And little guy named Aaron Hernandez with that other super chat you had earlier. Might want to think about that one a little bit.
Aaron Hernandez murdered like 3 people, dog. Like, again, this is also another thing I want to point out. Every fan base is acting like they have the moral high ground here. And that's because Deshaun Watson is on the Cleveland Browns. And I understand that the optics of that aren't going to be great. But these are organizations that exist to win football games. And most organizations will choose to do the thing that's going to help them win football games more so than what's going to make people feel good about it at home. That's just how that is, right? We've seen people, how much flack did the Bengals get for Pac-Man Jones being on the team and Vontaze Burfict and all that, even though those dudes were just, their football reputations were more about their football than it was about
people still talk about that stuff, you know, like
they talk about the Marvin Lewis Bengals and how they were criminals and all that. Like, criminal. Yeah. People talk the same way about some players. I mean, like we've heard all the Ray Lewis and all that stuff. Like you can throw stones in a glass house in any franchise and go, oh, you guys are a terrible franchise. You're just going to end up looking like a hypocrite because no matter what team you cheer for, your team definitely has a skeleton in the closet because, again, they're hiring football players who are good at football, and teams are going to prioritize that over everything. Whether you like that or not, that's another discussion, but we can't act like that ain't how this thing worked. Like, you know, Greg Hardy had a bunch of teams trying to get him, and he wasn't even that good, right? Remember that whole situation. So, you know, there's no winning a moral argument here. I just want to point out here because eventually something's going to happen with your team, and then people are going to dig up your quote, your tweets, and it's going to be like, oh, you know, you look, and it's a never-ending game here, dog. I'm just saying.
Sorry, I was only laughing because I got a message from my friend that cut a lot of the Bengals in his barbershop, and he's literally cutting this guy with the new Bengals white helmet on. Like, dog, why are you wearing a Bengals white helmet?
Love it. Hey, listen, tis the season. We're in August. Football.
Dog, the preseason game's not till like a week. Like, it's gonna grow in
today. Tonight.
There's a game on.
The Bengals preseason game.
Tony's trying to hit a sports book here after the show, so we gotta
get time out. Time out.
Hall of Fame game, baby.
You're betting the Hall of Fame game?
We're throwing the 800 number after the show.
There's a sports book right down the road. You know what I mean? When in Rome. I don't have that in Florida.
This is no longer the comeback at AFC North Talk. This is now an intervention.
I like the guy in chat who said at the end.
After the Pro Bowl, I thought we were like, okay, he's hit rock bottom with this whole thing. But the Hall of Fame game?
If you want to help out my gambling addiction, help us out by choosing our friends over at Manscaped. Crotch discomfort hurting your game? Fear no more. The kings of crotch comfort, Manscaped, have spent 2 years designing the most comfortable boxer briefs out there. Sleek, soft, comfortable, and flexible. The brand new Boxers 2.0 from Manscaped take your balls to the royal ball throne. The global leaders in below-the-waist grooming have the Lawnmower 4.0 for the trimming, so you can wear the Boxers 2.0 for the chilling. They even trademarked the jewel pouch, so you know it's serious. I think it's time for you to invest in your family jewels, so let the bulge breathe and get 20% off plus free shipping by using our code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk, all one word. You see it there at the bottom of your screen at manscaped.com. Let's say you're on a date and your partner catches that Manscaped on the waistband of your underwear. It's almost guaranteed to raise some eyebrows and act like a billboard on the highway to Pleasure Town. This is thanks to their Lawnmower 4.0, the best electric trimmer for below-the-waist grooming. Their 4th generation trimmer features cutting-edge ceramic blade, advanced skin-safe technology, and it's even got an LED spotlight. Beyond ball cleaning, Manscaped is focused on comfort with their new Boxers 2.0. Boost confidence everywhere you are, knowing you wear the absolute best pack for your sack. Go over to manscaped.com, get 20% off and free shipping, but you got to use our promo code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk. All one word. I can vouch for the product myself. They are by far the best boxers I own. So make sure you check them out. Help us.
Boxer streamer. Everything has been great from them.
They are a terrific company. All right. Debate. All right. We're gonna. I wanted to talk about Roger Goodell and the.
We won't finish if we do that.
Yeah. We don't have time. All right. We got to keep going. We got to keep moving here. We're doing edge rushers tonight. All right. We are going to rank some edge.
I think 4 might be pretty fast. Just a hunch there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think there'll be much of a derail there.
As I said, I know there's going to be a debate between 2 and 1. There always is. This is basically, it's basically
Like,
Troy
hold on, is
Polamalu
this the
versus
off
Ed Reed.
season? Hold my beer.
Yeah. but there is a third entrant in this who's actually not.
Debate between 2 and 1, 2, 1, 2 and 3, or 1, 2, and 3, you think is 1 and 3? Because
well, that's what I'm saying.
There's some interesting numbers here.
Exactly.
I think the real debate is between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think.
Well,
so.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see when we get there.
Definitely not 4.
All right. Let's start with 4. Yeah, let's start with 4. I'll do my 4 first. It's the Ravens. The Ravens are 4.
What? No. F you, Tony. Stop with this BS. No way.
They got Justin Houston back, so that's nice. I do think Odafe Oweh had a nice rookie season. Obviously the whole before the draft thing of like he had no sacks. I think he kind of put that to bed. And the great thing about it is he did put that to bed pretty early, because I believe his best play of the season was in week 2, right? It was the strip sack on Mahomes early on. So it's a nice room.
It was on the run. He clinched that game for us. It was a strip, but it wasn't a sack. It was a fumble forced on the running back.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, because the Chiefs were driving, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, clinch that one for him. Look, it's not a bad room. It's just they just happen to be in the AFC North, so they're gonna be dead last, and by a mile here considering some of the numbers. So that's basically my take on it. Sonny, what about you? Who do you have number 4?
The Browns, of course. Nah. It is the Ravens.
I want to see you defend that take.
It's the Ravens. Now, what I will say is, think about the last time the Ravens had like a dominant pass rush. You would have to go to Terrell Suggs, right?
Yeah, you would have to. Yeah.
And then the last time they had a good duo was when Terrell Suggs and Durinell was there, right?
Yep.
And that didn't last super long. I think it was about 3 years. And then Suggs stayed with us for X amount of years after that. The Ravens are positioning themselves to have a good pass rush group for next year on, right? But Ojabo, he will probably, the rumor is he will come mid-year this year, okay? Which it will be great because that will give his feet wet for next year. That's how I see it, at least. Justin Houston, he is good, but as his age is in, he is good in short spurts at the moment, right? Limited snaps, he's good still, but not for being your workhorse. Like, Odafe Oweh can probably stay the whole game, and he's probably going to be fine. But after that, RIP for Ferguson, right? He was the other edge rush that we had. And then, so we get thinner and thinner after that. So you got Odafe Oweh, and you're going to have Justin Houston. And after that, you get Hayes, which was a guy that we drafted in the 6th round last year. He showed very, very limited flashes. I'm expecting him to be basically a guy, that you're like, okay, I need a guy to get a breather. Just at least he's good against the run, but not necessarily against the pass. And you got Tyus Bowser, but Bowser's also coming from a major injury. Bowser looks to be geared to start.
Who on the Ravens isn't really? That's
true.
You just say a Ravens player and you just assume, they're coming back from injury. Yeah.
Well, Bowser is impressive because I think he was the Achilles the last game of the season. And
so
he's already practicing. He's already practicing.
Wait, Odafe had an Achilles injury?
No, not Odafe, Bowser. Sorry. If
I said
Bowser. Yeah, Bowser. Last week of the season. But my point is, even if he comes back, you will think he's limited, right? You will have some limitations. And then you get Justin Houston, right? He was healthy, but again, age, limitations. Ojabo, if he comes in the middle of the year, limitations. So you basically have Odafe Oweh. So all this story is to say, I think the Ravens pass rushing group looks to be good for the next year on. This year, if they can be decent, like last year, I will take last year's. Last year's pass rush, I thought was decent, not great. We'll talk about the interior of the D-line. I think that's what the Ravens did. They bolstered the interior of the D-line to help that outside rush. But for now, I have to have them 4. Sadly, he never had to have them fourth, but yeah.
One other thing that obviously it didn't play into the rating at all because like it was so obvious that they were 4, but it is interesting that they're changing D coordinators and so much of their pass rush. It's kind of the origins of this show, right? Or the pass rush by committee thing and all the zero blitzing that Wink used to do. Now he's gone. Insert new DC. Are they gonna? You wonder how much it's going to be a new look, especially when it comes to how they want to get that kind of pressure. Are they still going to have?
We'll see, right? Because look at Michigan. Look at Michigan. It could be. The two guys were talented, right? Between Ojabo and I'm blanking the dude that went to Detroit.
Hutchinson.
But Hutchinson, they both took steps up as soon as Mike got there, right? And they played great. So hopefully he can elevate it. But I'm not here to say, Odafe is going to have 14 sacks, right? No, if he can get 10 or 11, that's going to be great because that's a double of last year. That would be spectacular. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, they're definitely fourth.
Yeah, I think for me, like if Ojabo, like you said, was healthy, I think this is definitely a debate for sure. You talk about Justin Houston, Odafe Oweh, and a healthy Ojabo. I think that would be in consideration. But with him not being healthy, with Justin Houston, as you said, getting older, I still would probably say, hey, it's still Justin Houston, even though he's a lot older. I still would think that he would be a solid player. But with Ojabo potentially not coming back to, you said, like halfway throughout the season, maybe it's a wait and see kind of thing. I do think, like you said, I do agree with you for the future going forward. I think that they definitely have a lot to look forward to in that locker room. But as of now and projecting the season, especially with Ojabo potentially either showing up halfway or potentially missing the entire season, I've got to put the Ravens here at 4.
Q, same?
Yeah.
Do it, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Are you going to wait till D-line to troll me then? Or you wait till D-line to troll me? Because last year you had the Steelers as 4 on D-line, right? And actually you weren't wrong. You actually weren't wrong on that take, by the way.
I was because the Browns were 4 last year in the interior.
Oh yeah, that's true. The Browns were bad. Yeah, that's true.
Browns were really bad.
I don't know. Steelers on the defensive line. I mean, they had Cam Hayward, but man, that was about it.
Yeah, we didn't have anybody close to Cam Hayward. Our best defensive tackle is like what the 2 weeks after the season got caught in Florida butt naked fighting a cop. Like that's what the Browns situation was.
Steelers were a little better off. They're a little better off than that. Yeah, you're right about that. I'll agree with you on that.
They've literally just been having dudes play defensive tackle for the last 3 years here. But yeah, I'll put the Ravens 4 here. I was tempted to troll. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna try to leave the trolling out of the rankings, as I've learned that it backfires on me at times.
Oh
yeah, you know what I mean.
It does to me all the time.
Oh yeah. You know what I mean, because people don't understand when it's trolling and when it's not. So I'll leave it out here. Not to say that the pass rush for the Ravens is bad. They're always gonna put up solid numbers, just because, like Sonny's always said, they do it by committee. You know what I mean? A guy here, a guy there. They're going to manufacture around 15 to 20 sacks a year from pressure. Now, what's different, though, no Wink Martindale, right? That's a difference that we have not yet seen what that's going to entail for the Baltimore Ravens. If it's Wink, I would feel more confident in my troll pick to go, oh, yeah, let's go mess with Tony here or let's go mess with Ace here. But since the Wink ain't there, dog, I'm going to have to leave it at 4. No disrespect. All right. I think this is a good room, but it's 4.
Yeah. I don't know that any room you would say is like a real weakness of the team. I think this is all, we're it's strength against strength for pretty much everybody. All right, we do have some super chats to get through. Ray Rags with a $5 super chat says, "Don't worry, Tony. My super chats were just for your dumb bets on a very meaningless game. I got you tonight. I'm actually going to add up those, divide it by 4, and that's how much I'm putting.
Tony, you jumped the
Jaguars.
One.
Did I jump?
I think you jumped. I think another Ray Rag, a $10 Ray Rag. Somewhere.
Oh no, actually no. I jumped a couple.
Labor Day weekend must be like Christmas for Tony. Like
when college football starts. I love betting college way more than anything. So when college starts, I need like a third bank account to like. This is where
he's taking the over against FAMU.
Because my dad and my dad and my uncle bet sports a lot. My uncle's like a huge sports gambler, and he goes to Vegas every Labor Day weekend just to go and gamble on college football games for that weekend. And I'm like, man, why are you asking me about Wyoming? I don't know what the over.
Ask Tony.
But you know who does?
Gotta get him and Tony connected. They probably would be out there at the same time.
Little insight: I am a computer programmer by trade, and have I tried to develop my own algorithm for sports betting? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. So it's
has it been
do I have a problem?
successful?
No, I can stop whenever I want.
Look. I bet Tony's podcast is just nothing but sports gambling. It's got to have a lot of Barstool in there.
Can we? I love. Yeah. Well, listen, Barstool. If you're a sports gambler and you don't like Barstool, like something's wrong with you.
I mean, that's what they're for, right?
That's what they do. Yeah, right. Like I am the target demographic to a T. I will say this, by the way, if you're out there and you are a gambling company and you are legitimate, by the way, because we've had a couple try to advertise on the show, and we are not going to advertise for a gambling company. I know all about them, the ones that will take your money, and as soon as you win, they go, oh no, they either lock you into some kind of weird promo or you just can't get your money out. Like we're never going to advertise that. You know that about AFC North Talk. But if you're a legitimate gambling company, you want to advertise on the show, come on, help me out.
Yeah.
Nova's still here with a $2 super chat says Tom Brady preferred Gronk. He knew something was wrong. Okay. Ray Rags here said not to defend Deshaun, but I'm wondering.
That's why he preferred Gronk. Wait. Can we go back to that? He preferred Gronk because Gronk might be one of the best 5 tight ends to ever play football.
Maybe. Well, it's like top 2, not 2 type situation with Gronk. That might have played into it a little bit. Yeah.
Aaron Hernandez wasn't in that neighborhood. Like he was good, but he wasn't in that neighborhood.
Yeah. All right. So Ray Rags here, $10 super chat says not to defend Deshaun, but I'm wondering if he didn't show remorse publicly because the cases aren't over yet. It looks terrible, and I think he should. But this looks bad. I agree. I mean, that was the weirdest part about the Brown statement is that they said Deshaun is remorseful, and it's like,
God. Why does Jimmy and D has them? Like every time they release a statement, it's terrible. Like honestly, the Browns are a pretty good team until you remember who owns them, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we still got something to get over here.
Nova Stone here with a $2 super chat says the top AFC North edge rushers will have 0 sacks against Tom Brady. Okay, listen, he's not exactly mobile anymore. Okay, the guy's 45 years old, so he better have a Ben Roethlisberger release time.
Last preseason, if you want to count it, I don't know. I think he had one.
Oh yeah, the Brady killer's coming back. Yeah. He's coming back, right? Yeah. He going.
Oh my God, the Julio Jones signs with the Buccaneers is one of the stupidest.
Oh my God.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. You know what? Oh wait, Tony.
16 anymore, guys.
Tony, I feel like as we do these shows together, we're infecting each other with takes that each other would have about certain situations. Yeah. I felt okay about Julio being in Tampa Bay till I saw what number they gave him. Nah,
see,
85. They gave him 85. Is he playing tight end? That's not gonna work.
What are we doing?
Like, is he a true freshman? Like, what is going on? Like, you gave him a true freshman walk-on number. What is this 85 situation with Julio?
I'm with you.
No, that's over with. He's not gonna have a good year there. We're gonna forget. It's gonna be like Chad Johnson in New England. Remember that one? Yeah, Ocho Cinco on his back. He was wearing like 81. Nah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, last time that Julio was good, I don't remember when was that.
Exactly. 2 years ago. Yeah, it was like a couple years ago. Just nobody was paying attention because it's the Falcons.
All right. Cardinals legend AJ Green gave us a $20 super chat and said, welcome back, fellas.
Love the troll.
Whoa. Not Cardinals legend. Browns current starting cornerback AJ Green.
Okay, true. Ray Rags here with a $5 super chat said, and that man fighting the cop was easily our best defensive tackle behind an out of position Miles and an out of position Clowney. They upgraded though. They got Perry on. I can't wait till we do D line because I wonder, like, can Q contain himself when it comes to like trying to evaluate?
We need to do that. Perry on containing himself at a press conference.
I love his personality.
In order for me to be high on the Browns defensive line, Perrion Winfrey has to be like Warren. He has to be Aaron Donald, like in order to justify.
You've talked him up. You've talked him up at this point where I don't know if he's Aaron Donald, but he's
No, I've always made sure to cut close to. No, he's not Aaron Donald. But
but they should already.
I don't know if you've ever looked at Jordan Elliott's Pro Football Focus page.
No,
it's atrocious.
First of all, we don't use those 3 words on this. We don't use those 3 words on this show, by the way.
Pro Football Focus.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Pro Football Focus, did you guys see who they said was the best edge rusher in the league right now? Did you see that ranking? They're doing their they're doing their position rankings just like
who they say.
Oh, they put TJ. They put TJ. No, they put TJ.
Oh, they put TJ over Max Crosby.
TJ above Miles.
Over Max.
Thank you.
Wait. Over Max.
Over Max. Yeah, that's right. I mean,
what happened during the offseason that he went up?
When I say this is a media organization who's just trying to drive clicks with their stupid takes.
They watched AFC North Talk. That's what happened, Sonny.
Look, man.
I
don't. The list on Pro Football Focus are like the articles in Playboy. I don't know why people pay attention to them at this point. They're not actually what you come to the website for, right? You come for like the grades, the stats, the tracking.
Not the
you don't really come for
the stats, not the grades.
And it's always done by different
grades. I always say this: the PFF grade is like a Wikipedia page. It is a starting off point. But if you see like with Jordan Elliott, you see that terrible Pro Football Focus grade he has, you go, I need to look at the tape and see if he's this awful. And then you look at the tape, and like, okay, no, he's this awful. You know what I mean?
Happened with Patrick Queen. That happened with me with Patrick Queen last year. So I was like, come on, he couldn't have been that bad. And then I turned the tape on, and I was like,
okay, yeah, this bad. Yeah, like
some
guys are much better than your grade are.
We haven't done inside linebacker yet, Sonny. We'll get there. I might
that's
elevate.
Interesting.
I might elevate the Ravens from like the basement of the division at inside linebacker to 4th, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. Hippie Profit with a $2 super chat says, "It's the boys. Welcome back." Yes, we are back. We are going to be doing this every week now.
I can't wait for 3.
We're going to do 3 right now. Let's do 3 right now. Sonny, you are the most impartial. We are the ones left, right? All of us are going to obviously have some level of bias in our rankings. So let's get to edge rusher, the 3rd best room in the AFC North. Let's hear it.
So for me, I agree with Q, because for me, 4th and 1 were easy, and 2 and 3 are hard. And I obviously I'm over here dealing with some stuff, so I couldn't pull all the numbers like you guys probably did. But just on what I saw last year, what I saw from last year, I will go here. But again, in their number 2 with the Bengals. But I was so tempted to put the number 2 because, look, they have between 2 and 3, they're number 1 of the my number 2 team and the Bengals number 1, right? Hendrickson. There's a gap. Okay. Because we're talking either Miles or TJ. We're talking about TJ and Miles 1, 2, or 3, right? Of the whole league. I think Hendrickson legit is probably 5 or 6 in the whole league. Like he is like a step below of elite. If you think elite is the top 4 or 5, but he's there on the cusp. And then he has a mate, right? A running mate that ain't that bad either. He is not that bad, right? Versus if you think about the other 2. In the case of TJ, you know, his Highsmith last year, and then Clowney. I think Clowney is definitely, you know, we're not talking top 5 with Clowney, but he is a good edge rusher in the league. So, and I'll say my stuff for the number 2. Why over the Bengals? But the Bengals pass rush, Hendrickson was the best sign last year. Like I'm trying to think. Last year, what free agency sign of the whole league was better than Hendrickson, right? And I cannot come up. I mean, maybe you guys think of one. He is great. He is the type of edge rusher that I wish the Baltimore had. He reminds me a lot of TJ, to be fair. Not because he's a white edge rusher, but it's how their motor.
Yeah. I like that you were honest about it.
Yeah, because I know that comment will come.
Yeah, he did. He was like, he's got that energy that he just has to
say, like, you know, he's a real finisher. He's got the motor, you know.
I was going to make one of those jokes about Joseph Asai diversifying that edge rush room, you know, coming back, but
there were some jokes that came out with when we signed him and had Sam Hubbard on the other side last year.
No, but I guess my point is, I love his intensity. Like the dude is legit intense, right? And I love it. I love to hate him because obviously he's a Bengal. Same thing with TJ and same thing with Miles. In the case of Miles, I always tell Q this: Miles hasn't affected the Ravens as much as other teams. I don't know, because of the luck. The Ravens probably know how to scheme somewhat Miles well. And obviously it doesn't hurt to have LJ. But in the grand scheme of things, I love Hendrickson. I love their pass rush. I know Bengals fans are super hype about Osai. I know they're super hype about Osai. When I remember watching tape about Osai coming out of Texas, and I thought he was good. People were talking about Osai being a first or second round. I was like, he ain't that good. I think when they drafted him I think it was late third or fourth, I thought that was a perfect spot for him. But we have to see before, like we hype all. I mean, this happens to every fan base, right? You hype your players. You have to wait and see. He might be great, but right now he hasn't even played one game. So I cannot say it was.
Wasn't he like on a Ola or Tuzar type path? He had a great preseason last year. If I
not even a preseason.
He only got to play one game, but he had like 6 pressures and a sack against Tristan Wirfs. Like a matchup against Tristan Wirfs.
I remember. I do remember thinking like, whoa, they might have got a kid in Osai.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, he might be great. I'm just saying more like we have to see, right? He's coming off an injury, and then he was a rookie last year. They couldn't play. But I think the Bengals, I mean, it sucks for the Bengals that they're in this division where 2 of the top 3 pass rushers in the league, or maybe the top 2 pass rushers in the league, are in the same division. So obviously that sucks, but they barely. I was tempted to put them second, but for now, I have them on third.
I have them third as well. And it wasn't. I guess for my rankings, I never really considered putting them above anyone else. But it was just, I guess, to Sonny's point, right? When you looked up Trey Hendrickson's numbers, right? As I started to run all the numbers and everything, Trey Hendrickson had, I believe, and again, I'm also on location, so I don't have my PC here, so I'm working off of the spreadsheets that I kept on Google Drive. I believe, did Trey Hendrickson have the highest pressure rate of any player in the National Football League, even more than Max Crosby? I know Max Crosby had in raw pressures, but if you take it by the number of pass rush snaps, I believe Trey Hendrickson was the most efficient pass rusher as far as pressures. And by the way, can I just say, like, the fun part about today's show, I assume someone is going to put the Steelers 3, they're going to put the Bengals above them. But I just want to say that if you do that, I don't even care, because you'll remember that this argument 2 years ago was when I said pressures is greater than sacks, right? You need to take into account pressures, not just sacks, pressures. That's
right.
So the fact that this year's show, I imagine my co-hosts are going to be using the word pressure a lot. I just want to tip my cap to you guys and just say thank you. But no, I have the Bengals here. Trey Hendrickson was Trey Hendrickson was really, really good last year. And it reminded me, as I started looking through the numbers, I started thinking back to that second half of that Chiefs game and what a dominant presence Hendrickson was out there. We remember Mahomes back there running for his life and looking like a moron in the second half of that game. But how much of that was because of the pressure that guys like Hendrickson were getting on that defensive line? You talk about Sam Hubbard, a decent run defender as well. He had I think a decent sack total this year, decent pressure numbers this year. But I think where he really makes it in for himself, he had like 30 stops this year. I believe that was second or third among anyone in the AFC North. And then they get Osai back, right? So it's not going to surprise me. I do think one of my co-hosts is going to have the Steelers 3 and the Bengals 2. But we shall see. But yeah, I have the Bengals 3. It's a good room, man. And like Sonny said, if you're in they're in another division, they could be the best pass rushing group in another division. They just happen to be in the AFC North. So with that.
One point of clarification with Trey Hendrickson, he was right in between Myles Garrett and TJ Watt in win rate last year at 4.
Okay. Gotcha. Because I was looking at, so the numbers that I
think Tony was talking about one that was on Next Gen Stats. I think that's the one you're talking about.
Well, I actually did it myself. I did, and of course I did it actually in Excel and not in Google Drive because I'm a moron and I didn't realize I was going to be traveling during this podcast. And no, what I did was I took the number of pass rush reps, right? Pass rush opportunities essentially in PFF, and then divide that by the number of pressures. Yeah, so pressures per snap. And I believe he was like if I remember right, I believe he was like 17 or 18%. TJ's at 15 and Miles is at like 14. Miles and TJ were separated by like 0.5 or something, but Trey I believe was at like 17 or 18%, far above the other two.
For pass rush, like blitz snaps or just pass rush sets?
Just pass rush. I looked at pass rush snaps from PFF. I had a whole
because he has the highest out of all 3 in snap count there. So he's at 560. Miles is at 543, 449.
Yeah, he was a workhorse.
Yeah.
Trey.
So he's
actually, no, you got it. Oh, sorry. Q. Get rid of postseason because the postseason's gonna
postseason's gonna throw it off.
Postseason's gonna throw it off. Yeah, postseason's gonna throw it off. Yeah. But anyway, I won't keep going here. I have the Bengals 3. Good room. Like I said, would have been higher in another division. They just happen to be in the AFC North. While Q runs those numbers, Ace, I'll go to you.
Okay, just fix it.
For me, honestly, before this show, I was really leaning Bengals here at 3. The only reason why, because like when you look at the stats and stuff like that, you look at the sacks, believe it or not, Trey Hendrickson in the last 3 seasons is like top 3 in the entire NFL in sacks. Of course, you have your boy at number 1 with Watt.
TJ.
You've got Garrett at number 2, and then you've got Hendrickson at number 3, and he's only, I think, a half sack behind Myles Garrett, which was crazy for me to see. And then if you go back 3 years, I think he's still in the top 7. For me, what this really came down to was not necessarily the guys at the top, because I do feel like TJ Watt and Myles Garrett are in a class of their own. I still think that they're above Hendrickson. I think Hendrickson is close, but I don't think he's Defensive Player of the Year candidate like those guys are. What this came down for me was, all right, let me look at the supporting cast. So when I look at the Browns, even though I'm not a Clowney fan, Clowney did some very impressive things last season. And I think if you compare Clowney to Highsmith and even Sam Hubbard and possibly Osai, like he's clearing that. And so then when I get down to Highsmith and Hubbard, I feel like they're pretty much equals, right? Like they just pretty much cancel each other out based on what we've seen from last year. The X factor, and this is just me projecting, is just Joseph Osai. And Joseph Osai, for me, going into last season, I didn't think that he was going to have an immediate impact, but I did think that he was going to be a guy that could eventually have an impact because he's just a hard player. Like his motor is crazy. He used to play linebacker. They started to put him at edge when he was in college. And based off of what I saw from him in that game, if he comes back, now he did have a knee surgery, he did have a shoulder injury, but if he is anything close to what I saw last season in that preseason game and throughout camp, he's easily, in my opinion, way better than Sam Hubbard and a guy that could get 9 to 10 sacks. And I think if you take the sum of that together, that is the only thing that gives the Bengals a slight edge. I don't think that, but then there's the other thing where, yeah, that could give you the slight edge, but what if TJ Watt gets like 8 more sacks more than Hendrickson? And so that's where I kind of go back and forth. But when I look at the Steelers after those 2 guys, that's where I'm like, okay, who is their third guy as far as an edge rusher in there? If there is an injury or something that comes up, who is the guy that comes in and kind of steps up? And that's where I kind of was concerned about the Steelers from that standpoint. But to me, it's a toss-up. I'm not saying that the Bengals are far superior than the Steelers. I'm not saying the Steelers won't be better than the Bengals at this position. But Joseph Osai, for me, was the X factor. Khalid Kareem, I think that he has some potential, but he's just not been able to stay healthy. I mean, he had to play last season where he was able to make that huge play in the Broncos game where he strips the guy at the end and ends up getting that weird kind of interception fumble. I don't know what that was. And then he fell and fumbled it. So they've got some potential there. You got Cam Sample, who at times was able to step in, still wasn't able to have a super big impact, but he could be vital going forward. And so for me, I just felt like the Bengals had more to the rest of their room than the Steelers. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Steelers ended up at the top, especially with Watt coming off of a season where this guy almost broke Strahan's sack record. So for me, that was the only reason that I put the Bengals at 3.
Should have broke it. Sonny knows this. Should have broke it if it weren't.
Tied it. Sorry.
Tied it. Well, to PFF, they gave it to him, but tied it in the real numbers. And,
I think honestly, if he tied it, like we should just really give it to him because I still remember witnessing Strahan. Like Brett Favre just fell over, bro. I remember watching that game. Brett Favre was just like, "Here it is," just like fell over.
That was Peyton, wasn't it?
It was like Peyton. It was Brett Favre.
Nope. Because guess what?
It was like
Lamar Jackson number 2 did not fall down during that game. So nope. He doesn't get it. Nope.
Brett Favre should have had one more. There was an illegal hand to the face against Cam.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah, I think TJ broke the record, but yeah, there was a penalty. And
there was an illegal hands to the face on Cam Hayward, which is complete and total BS.
You gotta just go back and watch.
Blame Cam.
That Strahan had on Favre. It was pitiful.
17 games, maybe it will be broken because now we have the extra game.
It was like
he didn't play 17 games.
Emmitt Smith.
He didn't play 17.
It was like Emmitt Smith getting the all-time rushing record. That's how pitiful it was. We all knew that should have went to Barry Sanders. We all knew.
Hey, bro. Hey, you got to get the extra half a sack. Like, it just is what it is. You got to get the extra half a sack. You know what I mean? You got to get it officially. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Hey,
all right, we'll get to Q's ranking here in a second. I do want to get a super chat in. I want to make sure I don't miss any. Oh, wait, hold on. No, I'm missing some. Tampa Bay still causing AFC East teams to suffer and lose, says our boy Nova Stone, of course.
It's not Tampa Bay, it's Tom Brady.
Just make sure you take care of those bills. That's all I care
about. There you go, Sonny. You got a fan over there. Predator Magnus with a $2 super chat. Professor Chaos here says with a $5 super chat. Challenge impossible. Talk about number 1 and 2 without mentioning PFF. Sorry, Tony. Also, the over is a lock tonight. Now I got 2 guys telling me the over, the under. I do like the under.
Who is throwing the football tonight?
Right. It's Jake Luton versus like Gardner Minshew. Or
no, it's not Gardner Minshew anymore.
No,
who's the back? Yeah. Who's no. Luton is on the Jags. Who's the backup on
for the Raiders
now? Yeah.
I don't know. What would I
don't
know?
But I'm gonna bet on it, baby. Ray Rags.
Why would I know that? Is it Nick Mullins?
There you go.
Throwing it up there?
Oh, Nick Mullins.
Oh, hey, hold on, wait now. Nick Mullins can cook a little bit. Last time he played against the Raiders, he was out there, clutch a little. He had a clutch touchdown.
Player props. Somebody take like a player prop on him, like over 100 yards passing or something. All right, Ray Rags here, $10 super chat.
Are they going to give him the first half?
I don't know. He says, so I paid for Tony's bail when he talked about not so legal gambling last year, and now I'm paying for his legal gambling. I'm glad to keep enabling.
By the way, have you seen these articles?
I'm not sure.
Have you seen the articles out about how we need to fix the Hall of Fame game?
I'm still waiting for that Hard Rock app to come back as well.
It's never, dude. They I don't know if you saw it. We're not getting it in Florida for at least 2 years. For at least 2 years now.
Yeah,
the petition went down.
Yep.
If they want to make the Hall of Fame game interesting, it's got to always be between the team that has the first pick and the second pick in the draft, just so we can at least see some good rookies, play. Like, I hate when a team is up there, ain't nothing to watch. It's like, oh, you didn't even have a first round draft pick. Let's watch. Like, who did?
Are we going to see Walker tonight? Do y'all think we'll see Walker?
Yeah.
You normally see him for a quarter, because what Najee played when they had the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, Najee played. Yep.
So,
all right, Q.
Who's
Let's
3?
hear it. Your number 3.
I found this stat you're looking for. PRP is what Pro Football Focus calls it. Trey Henderson was 1 in there if you only count the regular season. In both regular pressure percentage or regular pressure and true pressure, he was also up there. Interesting enough, right? Second to Myles Garrett in true pressure. In regular pressure, second to TJ Watt.
Max.
I mean, it's indicative of the whole argument between those two players, right? In TJ Watt and Myles, where TJ is going to have the more accounting numbers, but Myles is going to always be higher. Well, going to be higher on some of these averages because they're asked to do 2 different things there, right? They're hard to compare in that way. Pittsburgh blitzes like at the top of the league. Cleveland doesn't blitz almost ever, to a frustrating degree almost. But when it comes to number 3, I think this is an interesting conversation because we're talking about the room. Right.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
I was high on a player in Pittsburgh last year that just was a height. You know what I mean? Just never. He wasn't bad.
He hit the wall. He wasn't the height.
Yeah,
he didn't lift
the
height.
wall. It never looked like he bounced off of the wall. I don't know. And the player I'm obviously referring to is Tuzar Skipper.
Hey, he made a great play out there today. Loved it. Everyone cheering Tuzar. Loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's the new Ola.
Still around.
They need to bring back Ola. Just get the whole gang together. You know what I mean? The Hall of Fame Latrobe team. Man. It's sad. How is it out there being there without Ola Adini there, man? Like,
it does. There's an emptiness in my heart every time I watch the team defense come out there.
Watch it. At least you got George Pickens, right? I haven't seen a clip where he hasn't cooked somebody in one yet.
Yeah,
but yeah,
there will be more. There will be more from today's practice.
Alex Highsmith, I don't know if I would call him a disappointment, but based on how he looked in his limited snaps his rookie year, and then what you would have thought he would have blossomed into his second year, just wasn't that. It was almost a Donovan Peoples-Jones type thing, right? Where it's like, man, look out for Donovan. He's okay. He's okay. And then when you look behind that, I don't love any of these names I'm seeing. I mean, there's the aforementioned Tuzar Skipper, who, like, let's be real here, he's probably not going to be taking significant.
What's wrong with Tuzar?
There's Jannard Avery, who's been bouncing around, former Cleveland Brown. There's Marcus Allen, who wears 27 in pass rushes.
Inside linebacker.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Running back playing linebacker.
Yeah, and then the Delonte Scott. What's the report on this Delonte Scott? I see. Decent grade.
Yeah. It's gonna be. This is gonna be another year where, like, the last edge rusher, every Steeler fan is gonna have their favorite guy. It just depends on who shows out in who is the next Tuzar, who is the next Ola. Because I think Jannard Avery has been very good in camp. He's gonna make the team, no doubt about it.
Jannard Avery is always good in camp.
Yeah. He flies. I mean, he's like his speed.
Those guys
is
that are
too
always
fast.
good in camp.
Yeah. Well, he's the classic, like, he's just fast enough that he could beat any second team or third team tackle. It's about, okay, but you're not going to face a second or third team tackle in the NFL. You're going to face first team guys. So,
yeah, it's Jannard right there. I remember we was talking about Jannard like he was going to be the next James Harrison when he was in Cleveland. Oh, he's just a little undersized. He's a lot, but it didn't work out with Jannard over here. But I always thought he was a decent enough player. He could be in the league. He's more of a stand-up or more of a, well, he's in 3-4 now, so that's better for him. Now, TJ Watt is so good, and Alex Highsmith is really good. Well, not really good. Is okay enough to where you could justify putting them over the Bengals here. It depends on what you think of Joseph Osai. I'm actually going to not troll here. I'm going to put the Bengals here at 3. I'm sorry, Bengal fans. I got to put you here at 3. Trey Hendrickson, he just outweighed. I know, I kind of talked Sonny into 3 too. Right?
Sonny was getting real excited. He was.
He kind of.
You explain everything on the Steelers. I'm like, okay, the Steelers turn. Okay, cool.
No, I was like, he's going to go and put the Bengals here.
Ace knows my bullshit. Yeah. Ace is like, come on, just say it. Yeah. So Trey Hendrickson is really good. I have some apologies to give out there because I was like, man, he's Paul Kruger. Nah,
yes,
put it together.
Yes, yeah, we all. Oh my god! Can we unlist that edge rusher video? Because some of the things we said about Trey Hendrickson were monumentally stupid.
It could be worse. You can have a video talking about the Browns should never trade for Deshaun Watson a year before.
Oh well.
Hey, in all fairness, I believe I said something about Clowney and the dude that was behind him having more sacks than Clowney. So yeah,
look, man, we get it wrong. We get something wrong.
Off-season, baby.
Is what it's for. We gonna get something wrong. But yeah, I would put the Bengals there at 3. I would not be surprised if this is just as productive of a unit as Pittsburgh, if not more, because I do think that Cincinnati is going to be in a more advantageous situation on that defensive side because the offense isn't going to turn the ball over as much or force out on 3 and outs as much, to where Pittsburgh, it might look worse just because they're going to be out there so much and leaned on. And I don't think that defense is good enough to be leaned on at this point. The secondary, at least, I don't think is good enough.
You don't think Kenny Pickett's lighting up the scoreboard, Quincy?
Well, I mean, it appears it's Mitchell Trubisky's job to lose.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Mitch.
Well, look, here's what I've seen out of Pittsburgh camp. 1 week, Kenny Pickett looks terrible. And then Mitchell Trubisky looks great. And boy, watch out for that Mason Rudolph. And then the next week is, hey, Kenny Pickett. And then it's
it is so weird.
Mason's somewhere in the middle. And it's like, hey, Mitchell looks awful. Like it's been.
Yeah. Well, we've reached. I said this to my wife as we left practice today. I said, look, we've reached the point with Mitch where you just got to give someone else the first team reps. Just look, if it's the idea. I had a guy sitting next to me. I forget what day it was. It was like 2 or 3 days ago. He was sitting next to me and he said, "Man, we either have the best defense or the worst offense." And I said, "Listen, man,
you got the worst offense.
It might be both. It might be both. But I mean, the worst offense thing is like, look, you can make the argument that like, oh, the defense is just this good, and that's fine argument to make a couple days in camp. But here we are, like we're in what, day 10 now. Like no offense is this bad. No offense is this bad. I don't care. I don't care if they're going up against the number one defense in the league. Like if the Steelers have the number one defense in the league, fine. No offense is this bad. I mean, they got to.
Yeah, what does happen? Brandon Allen in right now, and they're like, "Oh, Akeem Davis-Gaither got a pick," and all of these. I'm like, maybe it's that Brandon Allen just isn't good.
You don't ever want to hear in camp that one side of the ball is down. That's just not what you want to hear.
It's not great. It's not a great feeling. Well, it's fun on a couple days. It's just
like if they're doing like a comp day, like okay, one win. Sometimes that happens, but if you're hearing consistently, boy, the defense looks amazing.
The defense, by the way, the defense hates. The defense hates. Oh, that was one drill. Sonny. But yes, and I was like losing my mind in the stands. Like it was a one-on-one DB wide receiver drill, and basically just the guy had his hand on the flag the entire time, ready to throw. He's flag. I lost my train of thought there. But anyway, all right, we'll talk more about the Steelers later on. Let's go to number 2, Sonny. Our impartial judge here at number 2. You had Cincinnati at number 3, so it's between the Steelers and the Browns. The age-old question. Myles Garrett versus TJ Watt.
No, that's not the question. Because the question between TJ and Myles is a question that, depending on the week, one can be better than the other. But they're definitely the top 2 edge rushers in the league. And they both play edge, but they both play edge in a different position. Meaning, one of the reasons why I like TJ more is because TJ plays a 3-4 edge, which is what the Baltimore Ravens play for the edge, right? So I always imagine, damn, if I had TJ, I can plug him in, right? In the case of Myles,
Tyus Bowser replacement.
I mean, I'll trade him right now for Tyus Bowser, TJ. Come on. But
Tony, you taking that trade? Tyus Bowser, TJ straight up?
I don't know if I'm taking it for Hubbard. I'm gonna be real.
I'll throw a second round there, Tony.
Oh, 2. He's gonna throw a 2 in it. So you're gonna get less than what you drafted TJ Watt for.
Yeah. First is too rich.
And Tyus Bowser.
Yeah, Tyus Bowser. First is too rich. No, but the reality is TJ is fantastic, right? We know TJ might be my favorite player, not really. Yeah. But it's Q took everything that I was gonna say, right? It's the Highsmith and everything else. Right. That's why I think Hubbard is better than Highsmith right now. And how I will consider is TJ and Myles are A+ edges, right? And I think Hendrickson right now is like a solid A to A, right? Oh, he's very close. And then Hubbard probably is like a B- player. And then you have C+ right now for Highsmith. And then after that, you have a lot of unknowns. I know people are hyped on Osai, but again, Osai hasn't done anything right now. He might be good. He might not. So basically, they're basically very, very even. And I went with the highest rated player in TJ. But they're like, I was here like, shit, what should I do? I was legit, like you said, it for me, here was the rub, 2 and 3. But TJ is fantastic. Highsmith needs to take a step up, right? Because if Highsmith can be the Bud Dupree, when Bud Dupree was in the last 2 years, right? Like the Steelers now they're gonna be terrorizing all of us, right? Because when the Bud Dupree was playing great and TJ was next to him, man, it was just legit. And then the interior was really good.
The interior too, yeah, that was
like nasty.
Well, I don't want to cut you guys off because everybody's making this point. This whole, how many sacks do you think Alex Highsmith had last year?
I think he had
probably like a quiet 6.
Like seven, right?
He had 8. He had 8 sacks last year.
Yeah, 8.
Yeah. How many sacks do you think Bud Dupree had in his best year as a Steeler?
Oh, he never got double digits.
No, he had 10.
He did one time. He had 11. He had 11 one year.
11.
Right? Yeah, but the thing was,
Highsmith is 3 sacks away in your mind. Right, from being Bud Dupree. I mean, look, I understand that Highsmith.
The pressure. Yeah, the pressure.
No. And this is where I'm going to tip my cap because you're absolutely right. The pressure numbers last year were the actual problem for Highsmith. Yeah. That was the actual problem.
Which is why I say it's a quiet. Okay, you said it's a quiet 8. Right?
He wanted to get his credit in on your slander. You know what I mean?
Like, exactly. It's like someone stop saying this whole. No one's using the word pressure yet, and I have to get it out of you because you can't say that Highsmith is not as good as Clowney, or he's like there's this gap between the two players.
No, but it's a quiet. I guess my whole point is it's a very quiet A because whenever those sacks happen, which obviously I don't remember none of them. But other than that, I don't remember seeing Highsmith at all. It was like, is he playing? Right? Versus Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree in the last 2 years of the Steelers.
He felt like there was more of an impact there on the field.
When he didn't get a sack, I saw him in the backfield. Right, and which is again the pressure. If we want to make the right turn, there's a pressure.
In Bud's defense, he was a speed rusher, and everybody knew that, so they took him for a ride around the quarterback. That was like the majority. That's why you saw him out there play. But
yeah, but he affected the game because even if you want to make that argument and he put a pressure, he made the quarterback step up, and back then you had 3 legit D tackles, right? They were monstrous. Yeah, High Grace, you had Tuitt, and you had the guy they still have.
I'll make it easy. Tony, if you had to extend Highsmith right now, hypothetically, I know we don't like to do hypotheticals, but if it's like, hey, you got to pay him Bud Dupree money, what he just got with Tennessee.
Oh, hell no. Bud Dupree money. No. Bud Dupree's not worth Bud Dupree money. Bud Dupree's not worth Bud Dupree money.
That is true, too. That is true. That is a fair argument. Anyway, that's all I'm trying to say here, that Bengals and Steelers, because I didn't say the Steelers were my number 2 when I was talking about the Bengals. They're basically, for me, even. They're basically even. But TJ Watt, of the 4 players, TJ Watt is the best player. Henderson is not that far behind. He's very close. But right now, TJ Watt is the best player. So
throw that in that's there. Why for food for thought. 12 more pressures Trey Hendrickson has.
I told you, Trey Hendrickson led the division in pressure rate. He led the division in pressure rate. He's better than Miles.
He lead the division in pressures. That was Miles.
See, Tony, I told you, I've always been a sack guy.
Yeah.
I've always been
a sack guy. I know you have.
And when I look at since 2020, it's TJ Watt 37.5. Yeah. Myles Garrett 28 and Trey Hendrickson 27.5.
Yeah.
I mean, those sack numbers are ridiculous. Those are ridiculous sacks numbers. The fact that Trey Henderson's in this division with 16 sacks and he's kind of a footnote in the conversation, it's a ridiculous notion, but it's not his fault. Like, it's
not his fault.
Yeah, this is Myles Garrett.
It was hilarious in the playoffs where people were like, "Oh, how are you going to stop our pass rush and this and that?" I'm like, "Hey, playing a division with Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, like whatever you think you guys are going to do, it's not going to match those guys."
The most freaky pass rusher in the league, and arguably the most skilled, intense pass rusher. You know, the highest. I don't know what the TJ Watt's actually really athletic. I don't know why they talk about it like that.
Yeah.
They're both really athletic. They're both utilized. Miles is going to be used as Miles, but like TJ's in the perfect spot for TJ.
I'm not gonna lie, dog. I didn't think, especially with him being the brother of JJ Watt, that he was gonna surpass him like to this crazy amount like he's done in the league the last couple of years.
Well, I mean,
because TJ Watt, not TJ, but JJ was like amazing, and now he's like surpassed him.
Well, JJ had them 2 back-to-back defensive player of the year. He's got a little bit to go before he gets.
Yeah, well, he's got one more year.
We forget.
Right. He's got one more
Watt
literally it'll be fixed. So
remember, JJ Watt started swatting passes, and we acted like he invented the whole practice. JJ Watt.
It is a Watt trait, though. So take a look at those PFF batting numbers. Take a look at the batting ball numbers.
Oh my god!
I'm serious. Like JJ Watt was like when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar just started dunking the ball. They had to make up rules for this in a way to track it after him. Like it was. That's how we treated this before then. We didn't track it.
TJ literally led the division in batted balls last year. I mean, it is one of his. If he's not going to get pressure, he does a great job. I mean, of course.
Shout out Baker Mayfield.
I think, yeah, exactly. I think Baker Mayfield quit on that play. That play is the play that he knew.
He had 6 batted passes, and he got 3 of them versus Baker Mayfield in one game.
The one where he bats it down and then points and laughs and looks at Mayfield's face. Yeah. That's the play where Baker quit. I'm out. My shoulder is screwed up.
I don't want to have Trey Henderson play next week. We won't be
seeing Devin Lloyd tonight. They just released the guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say. There you go. That's your inactives. But you're gonna see.
We got 12 minutes to kick off.
No Evan Ingram.
I'm not gonna be able to get an over/under bet now. I'm gonna be betting live. I'm gonna live bet this entire game. Which you want to talk about degeneracy?
Like 20 people out tonight. It's like 20 people out tonight.
All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Ace, your number two.
Number 2 for me, it's going to be the Bengals. Pretty much, this was a pretty close toss-up. As I said, it was more of the rest of 2 through 5, I guess, in comparison to the Steelers. So it's the Bengals here for me. I still don't think that they have enough to overtake Myles Garrett, as well as Jadeveon Clowney for that top spot. So I'm going to put them there. And yeah, that's where I had the Bengals number 2.
Q, you're number 2?
I thought I gave number 2. Yeah, no. Number 2 is Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh's number 2 here.
We're at the point where it's we could just
off the strength for TJ Watt, even though a notably low pressure group. So maybe some of these sacks are more luck bound than what we think.
Someone had a stat for this, which is that guys after breaking the record, I believe no one's even had 16 sacks the next year after like all the record setters didn't even get to 16 the next year.
Yeah, the thing about sacks is that like there's luck involved with because like you can win one-on-one and get to the backfield, but the quarterback might be like 5 yards that way. You know what I mean? Or maybe he slips out. Like it's just we place a lot, like sacks are like interceptions where we place a lot of value on it, but it's kind of a really flawed stat.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tony won that.
The ace is the only ace. You're the only holdout. We'll by the time next year rolls around, we'll get you there. We'll get you there.
Yeah. Look, if he ain't ready to hold out over these Trey Hendrickson pressure numbers, then I don't know what's going to get him there.
That's true.
You telling me Trey Hendrickson got 12 pressures over TJ Watt and he not taking that? When is he ever going to take it? He got 2 less pressures than Myles Garrett.
I witnessed 2 less King in the past, and then he ended the season with
Carl
4
Lawson.
sacks.
Just unlucky.
Poor Carl
He's
Lawson.
due. He's due.
Dude,
I hope he's healthy this
somebody from the Jets the other day said like, "Oh man, you wait for us to hit Carl Lawson."
I was like, yo,
he's gonna do his thing. I think he'll do his thing there, but
Jets fans hype up anything. By the way, Joey Bosa had 11 penalties last year.
That's
crazy. Gracious. 10 sacks, 11 penalties, still a 90 PFF grade.
Yeah. Okay, we got to get to this Ray Rags super chat here. It's $10. Appreciate that, Ray Rags. Really, I mean, listen, the fun, the gambling fun tonight just keeps going up. He said, "Oh no, Tony's already off the Mitch Magic hype train. R.I.P. March 17th, 2022 to August 4th."
Where's your shirt? Where's your shirt?
I was on the It's actually right there.
It's a shirt curse. Anytime he gets a shirt related to
this is what I said. He brought out the shirt too early because he had that. He had that Peter shirt, right?
Yeah, he did.
I want to point out. That's right. I want to point out that I'm not necessarily off the Mitch hype train, but as I was telling my co-host the other night, if you're looking for the actual storyline of training camp that no one wants to talk about, no one wants to put it in writing just yet, it's the fact that Mason Rudolph has completely changed his game and looks like a competent quarterback. I don't think he's thrown an interception. I mean, we're on like day 10, no interceptions yet. He got first team reps yesterday. Didn't look like a fool out there.
So you're saying
I don't even know
a t-shirt or any apparel or a chef's
no. Mason.
No, Tony don't rock with Mason like that. But here's all I'm saying is you're now at the point of your quarterback controversy where you're legitimately saying it's time to see what Mason can do with the ones, and that's not good. I just don't think
it's not good, bro.
It's not good. I agree with you. But it's not the same Mason. I think the Steelers could be.
He's changed. I swear he's changed, y'all. He's not going.
I know he hated Ben Roethlisberger. He hated him so much, but he learned a lot from him about just find a guy early and just get rid of the ball. That's all he does.
So Tony, he's changed. Look, he's young enough, right?
He might be right.
Kenny Pickett's only 3 years younger.
Tony is on the ground there in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to give Tony.
No, I mean, like, look, I'm waiting. Like you said the other day, right? Just give it time, then the other shoe will drop, right? Look, we're while it is 10 days, right? It's what 21 days of training camp plus 3
live
preseason
contact
games.
Too.
We're only a third of the way into this thing. Like, we got preseason games to play.
Well, preseason, yeah.
The other shoe will drop likely with the Mason thing, but it is
all I'm saying is. Once you get to the point of your quarterback competition where you like, man, let's see what Mason Rudolph got. I've been there. That was what the Browns were like when we had Derek Anderson and Charlie Fry battling out. We were like, man, we need to see what the young guy has. And then Charlie Fry had like the worst game of all time versus Pittsburgh, got traded to Seattle the next game. Then we rolled with Derek Anderson. It ended up working out. for that year. But I'm just saying, like, you know, it's never a good spot to be in.
Right. You know, Q, when you're in a situation like this, obviously, you know, there's always some point where like you try to convince yourself, like, well, you know, if everything goes right, you know, maybe this team could surprise some people. It's gotten to the point with this competition, like I've seen enough where I'm like, well, I'm not thinking that's not gonna be the case anymore. Hopefully they just don't make a fool. Like
You're hoping Najee runs the ball the hell out of the ball.
Well, it's just
now you realize, Tony, how spoiled you were with Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. Well, listen, you know. It's well, we'll see what happens with Kenny, because again, it's only Mitch. It's Mitch versus Mason.
Out of retirement, man. Might have to pull him out of retirement.
No, they have that guy.
Should the Steelers give Jimmy Garoppolo a call?
Yeah, that's it. I was waiting for that. All right, my number two, Cleveland Browns. Which makes my number one, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, here's I thought you were joking for a moment.
No. Legitimately. Look, and here's why. Because I think for TJ to do what he did last year, you know, again, if you go back and listen to the reasons why before we've said like Miles is a better player than TJ, right? I think one thing TJ did this year is he kind of put all that to the side, right? He plays on a better defense, right? TJ plays on a better defense. He has Bud Dupree alongside him. Look, he's got Hayward and Tuitt and a great defensive line to play in front of it. There's all these kind of built-in excuses. You know, Miles is always hurt. So, you know, if they had played a full season, you know, he would have been more productive. All these things that we say when it comes to the TJ versus Miles thing, all of that this year kind of went away, right? They didn't have a great defensive line, as we'll talk about, you know, in a week or two when we do the defensive line rankings. Certainly, as we talked about Alex, right? I mean, everyone on this show can agree. You know, he certainly did not live up to Quincy's prediction, right, on the Hot Take show when he said he was going to have double-digit sacks. And I think we all expected that he could, you know, given all the same benefits that we had assumed TJ was having, that, you know, Alex could have this great season. So I think for TJ to do what he did, where, look, obviously the pressure numbers aren't there, but, you know, again, it goes to the injury thing and the sack, and it's the same. It's funny that, like, me and Q have switched roles, where it's in previous years, it's like, look, if Miles was healthy for the whole year, he would have had the pressure numbers, but he was hurt. Right now, I'm making the exact argument in reverse. But I think, you know, and again, obviously the 22 sacks is the starter. I do think another thing to talk about here is those batted balls. And the other thing is that got me with TJ is we talked about, you know, Sonny, you made a good point with Alex, which is, well, it was a weird point because it was like, I don't remember him. But there is the idea of when do you get a sack in a game? It's one thing I used to get on the Steelers all the time. They used to lead the league in sacks. I mean, they've led the league in sacks for like 5 or 6 years now. But like 5 years ago when they were leading the league in sacks, it's like we get into the fourth quarter of a game and I don't notice a Steeler pass rush whatsoever. They're just non-existent in these fourth quarter games. Right? This is back when it was like Arthur Motes and James Harrison on his second stint, right? I think TJ was still a rookie around this time. The thing about TJ is you're talking about a player who was in the biggest of games this year, who came up the biggest, especially on that defense. It was TJ in every moment, right? You talk about that game against Baltimore the first time around, where he had like 7 pressures, 2 sacks.
We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, you talk about the second Cleveland game, whereas we talked about, I mean, the man single-handedly ended Baker Mayfield's time in Cleveland. You know, think about the playoff game, right? I know the playoff game ends up being a blowout, but the reasons why the Steelers were in that game early, right? The reasons why all of you had your buttholes clenched for a quarter and a half was because, like, TJ in that defense was making plays. I mean, he had the tip, right? We talk about the batted ball. He had the tip on the interception that Devin Bush ended up getting, and he had the strip for the sack for that touchdown, the touchdown in that game. Why the Steelers were leading that one. I mean, I think TJ. Look, I don't want to make the argument like TJ is a monumentally better player than Myles Garrett, but I do think at this point, I think the argument can be made, and I'm going to make it here, that TJ Watt is a better player right now than Myles. Take nothing away from Myles Garrett. He's a great player. But if I'm ranking these two players, I'm saying who's the best pass rusher in the league and who's second best, I'm going to say TJ 1, Myles 2. The other thing to point out here with Alex Highsmith, yes, his pressure numbers, his pass rush numbers were not there last year. I do think, though, he is a weirdly effective run defender, like Stephon Tuitt was back in the day, in that while he may not be a kind of the gap sound type of run defender that you want, he is a true disruptor. PFF has this stat that they have. It's I don't know if you guys have noticed this. There's all these outlets now. Football Outsiders has their own. PFF stats are good, as I've always said. It's the grades in the articles you got to.
Good. They're good.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, PFF stats are good. No, it's,
we have that,
you know,
on
one
the
of the stupid. One of the worst stats you can use to grade a defensive player is tackles, right? When you see like, oh, this guy had 100 tackles, right? Who cares? Where on the field did he make that tackle? If I'm a defensive lineman and I make a tackle 20 yards down the field and I do that 100 times. Am I a good player? No, right? So what PFF is doing with this stop thing is saying, how many tackles did you make that led to a unsuccessful play? Right? Using the success rate metric, but then saying, okay, taking that with tackles, where on the field did you tackle them? No one in the division had more stops than Alex Highsmith. Now, I think, with Alex, it's not. I wouldn't say that he's a great run defender. I think he's more of the kind of disruptor. Much like you would say about Stephon Tuitt back in the day. Keith Butler, the old defensive coordinator for the Steelers, used to say, the most frustrated I am of any player on this defense is Tuitt, because like he's great, so I can't tell him, hey, you got to like calm down in these run defenses because we're giving up too many big runs because then he'll go out there and have 3 straight tackles for loss. And I think Alex is a very similar player. TJ, obviously, he's right behind him when it comes to run defense. I do have a hot take, by the way. I can't wait I'm gonna preview it today so you guys know it's coming next week. I think the Steelers' bad run defense last year, and they were one of the worst in the league, I actually think it kind of helped them last year. I actually think their bad run defense was a plus for the team in general. But we'll get to that hot take later. But that's my 2-1. No. I think. We'll again. I don't want to. All right, that's my 2-1. Sonny, you have. We already know.
Wait. Ace, you want to say something before you go, man?
Yep, I gotta head out, but Browns are my number 1, pretty much because of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. So Jadeveon Clowney slander from me is officially over. You will not hear it anymore. But thanks, guys. I gotta run, and appreciate everybody, the viewers and everything, for sticking with us and supporting the content. Appreciate it.
Of course, this means now Jadeveon Clowney will have like 3 sacks next year.
Oh, I love that.
Love it as well.
Now I'm being here talking about you got to look at the run defense.
Did you guys see, by the way, Alex Highsmith had a higher run defense grade from PFF and did Jadeveon Clowney.
Jadeveon didn't have a great run defense grade last year. He was like at 60-something. He was actually a better pass rusher.
Lamar put him in skates a couple of times.
Yeah, but then JOK came and cleaned up, though.
He did.
Look, man, we just throw enough bodies at Lamar, and if we get him before he gets to 5 yards, we all right with that. He gonna get them 4.
So for me, number 1, I guess you asked me, is the Browns, and I'll go again. And I said because when I was ranking Bengals and the Steelers, and now with the Browns, I have TJ and Miles A+, right? But Clowney's a solid BB plus player, right? Obviously, the problem that Clowney has is we always remember the hit.
Yes.
The hit. And we always remember he was the first overall player that was supposed to produce those type of hits on this level. And between injuries, and he didn't fulfill that, right?
Hit somebody like that in the NFL. He was like 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage in that play. That was crazy.
Yeah, no, they throw you out of the league for that hit.
Yeah. No, because it wasn't in the head. It wasn't
that's offsides. Like they don't believe you could get a jump like that.
It doesn't matter if you hit him in the head. Okay, the rule is you hit him too hard. That's the NFL's rule. Hit him too hard. I mean, they might as well. They might as well just put flags on them. These players sometimes.
Okay, they do be throwing the flags sometimes because that looked like it was too impactful.
I agree.
Hit him too hard.
I agree, and I hate it. Okay, but saying that's why JaVale Clowney gets bigged. But I think he was great for Miles. He was great for the Browns, especially with a weaker interior D lineman. They were obviously Myles Garrett was amazing, but he was a very solid running mate. I think he was what the Browns wish Olivia Burner was when they got him right after that trade. At least that. I mean, they probably thought Olivia Burner was going to be even better than that, but at least that. And I thought it was a great signing by the Browns. Obviously, they brought him back, and that's why I have him. Because if you get TJ and Miles and you're like both of them are equal, right? Then you have to look at your next one. And Highsmith is not into the level, in my opinion, that Clowney is.
So, TJ plus Alex's sacks versus Miles and Clowney's sacks together.
TJ tied the record. I was gonna say he broke the record, but he tied the record.
But I'm saying if you add the two together, right? Because Alex, you take Alex and
but the
Alex
pressures.
Together.
Yeah.
Well,
we don't talk about sex. We don't talk about sex in this show. We have bands for that.
What's the single season pressure record?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's like 111 or something like that.
Somebody came close this year. Yeah, what? Max Crosby,
Max
the
Crosby.
GOAT.
Max Crosby.
Crazy Max.
He had 101
Max.
sacks. I mean, wait, he had 101 pressures, 10 sacks. I'd be furious. I'd be furious, dog. 10%.
You got to fix your secondary. You got to fix that. That's like, oh, we got a secondary.
Because
you playing Big Ben every week,
dude. I remember, and this is a little bit of side note, because I love the fucking draft. Damn it, because I love the draft
We're
so
now 30
much.
and it's fine. YouTube doesn't care.
Okay, because I love the draft so much. I remember watching that draft when Farrell got picked 3rd overall, and I was like,
oh yeah, I forgot about Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah. And then when we played in week 1, he was a healthy scratch. And I was like, what?
That's not
3rd
good.
overall in his 2nd year, healthy scratch? Or 3rd year, whatever he was. Dude, my Mayock was trash as a drafter. We'll see now, but my Mayock, man, I lost a lot of respect for him.
Edge rusher in the top 5. You
3rd overall.
You shouldn't make those decisions, because there's one position in the NFL we know how to scout. It's edge. Like, I think that's the surest bet. Is you get an edge rusher, we typically know which a good one is going to be. Like, every once in a while, like a Jarvis Jones sneaks in, but like even then he fell out the top 10 that year. Like, usually these dudes who go in the top 10, they might not be like great but Larry, you're going to be decent at least. Like, to not be on the active roster, there's no waiting period for an edge rusher either. Either you good year 1 or you're not. Like, it don't normally happen.
My hot take during the draft was that the guy that got drafted by the Jaguars, I was not a fan of him.
Is he playing tonight? Is he suiting up? Sonny, you have the lineup.
Yeah. He's not
guys. No, I mean, it's over for me. So I'm going to get there at halftime. We bet on the second half of this game.
It's okay. We're helping
you. We are trying to help you, Tony.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's an intervention by just, stalling. Ray Rags here with a $5 super chat says, who's this year's James Pierre, Tony? I need a no-name dude on the Steelers to learn about that will never amount to anything in the NFL. Then disappear. First of all, James Pierre had a great practice today. So watch him out.
Let's see what he can do against George Pickens.
George Pickens was
George. Well, George Pickens would be my answer here, but he's not a no-name, right? I mean, this is a 2nd-round pick, and everybody knows who he is, and he's all over Twitter. I mean,
he's actually going to be good. Like,
you
need to pick somebody like James Washington in that mode of like.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of someone else.
It might be Mason.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mason is the right answer here. Diontae Casey, I mean, you guys know who that is, though. He signed from the Cowboys. He's been really good. Who else?
Tell me who's Monte Moncrief this year.
You remember Anthony Miller? He used to play for the Bears and went to the Texans.
Oh, no, I don't know who he is. No,
I know exactly who he's talking about.
He's like a Memphis kid. I actually liked him in the draft that year. He's going to make the team. I don't know if he's going to amount to anything, but he's going to make the team. All right, you know what? I just thought of it. Running back room. Jaylen Warren. I believe he played for Oklahoma State, wears number 30 for the Steelers, Connor's old number. Najee's not practicing because he got his foot stepped on, and obviously you can't have an injury to Najee, so they're going to sit him down for the rest of camp now. I go to bed every night praying that he can beat Benny Snell out.
Is he better than McFarland?
McFarland had a good day today, but yeah, so far he's McFarland can't block. I mean, McFarland's like you just can't. They have this backs on backers drill, and McFarland was not good. Oh, you want a hot take? Actually, you guys will like this hot take. I think Robert Spillane is going to beat out Devin Bush for the starting inside linebacker gig, but 10 days in, no preseason.
Wait! I would have thought Miles Jack.
I forgot y'all still had Devin Bush.
Obviously, Miles Jack's going to start, Sonny. I'm saying the other spot.
Boy, Devin Bush, man. We're going to start talking about the fact that the Steelers traded up for that.
I know. Well, you always have the ACL to fall back on, right? It's like, well, it wasn't that big a bad pick. What about the ACL? Like, boy. Professor Chaos
be
here.
Decent, right? If he was good before the ACL, he'd probably be decent after. Man.
I don't know. Hey, Q, do you think after the suspension, Deshaun will have a chip on his shoulder?
If I hear the phrase chip on his shoulder one more time, I might retire from sports talk permanently. I'm so tired of chip on his shoulder. I don't care if he has a chip on his shoulder. Will he play good football? That's the question. That's all I care about at this point. I don't care how he gets there. I don't care what he uses as motivation. Honestly, I don't want to hear him talk about a chip on his shoulder because nobody agrees with him about why the chip should be there. It's just, just come out, play football, bro. That's all we need to hear. Like, just come out, play football. We'll see.
Ray Rags here. I know we talk about the Browns being bad at drafting, but the Raiders are notoriously bad drafters. They always do something dumb in the first round, like taking a kicker. Yes, they do. They are one of the worst.
No, remember they just lost 2 first-round picks back to back with Ruggs in the corner. I forgot the corner's name.
Damon
Arnett.
Yeah, and those are like recent draft picks, right? So yeah.
We're not going to talk about the other draft picks they done had. Darius Hayward-Bay.
Yes.
What was those are a little bit further out.
Super speedy corner that sucked. What was his name?
That's like drafted like 10.
Conley or no? They had Conley for a little bit.
No, Namdi was decent for like 2.
No, Namdi Asamoah was okay. No. I feel like they drafted another one.
He went to Philly and he sucked.
Dog, did you hear that story from? They was like, yeah, man, we put him Namdi against the third string tight end, and he got burnt. And somebody was like, "See, I told you he was sorry."
Amazing. All right, let's see.
So if you think NFL locker rooms are not telling each other that they think somebody who's highly paid on the team is sorry, oh no. They're getting it. Like, if somebody is being paid a bunch of money and they're a free agent, they come to that team and suck, assume that they are getting it worse in that locker room than they're getting from you.
Hey, let me say like this. This year they didn't have a first round pick, obviously, because of the wide receiver from Green Bay, right? But last year's first round, last year's first round Leatherwood, which they started moving him all over the line because he couldn't play right tackle.
Sonny, did you hear where they moved him next? They moved him again. He's on the third team.
That was a bust. But now their second round pick, I did like Trevon Mooring, the safety. I like him. I don't know how he played, but I liked him.
Didn't they move him to linebacker though?
No. He was more of a true free safety.
I'm thinking of Jonathan Abrams. Oh
yeah, no.
They got Josh Jackson, right? Josh, he's the running back.
But
he's all right.
Josh Jacobs.
But that was last year's first 2 picks. Look, 2020, they had 2 first round picks. Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett. Both are gone, right?
Is that worse than Justin Gilbert, Johnny Manziel combo?
But look at this. 2019, Clelin Ferrell, 3rd overall. Josh Jacobs, he's been good. And then Jonathan Abrams, he's been up and down. If, Tony, you're saying they're moving him to middle linebacker, well, that's not great because he was a safety.
I think he's weak side linebacker, but yeah.
In 2018, Miller has been playing better. I thought that was an atrocious pick, but
Colton Miller was the one that felt like a bust. Yeah.
Yeah, but now he's been playing better. In the last 2 years, he's been redeeming himself.
Yeah. All right, Ray Rags here with another $5 super chat. Said, serious question: what will the Steelers do if Harris goes down, Tony? What's that big military vehicle that they use that they roll through town? It's got a tank. There you go. Tanking. Yeah, tank. That's what they're going to do if he goes down. That's what they're going to do.
They're going to go
all right, you guys.
Bryce Young.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Kenny. We found someone better.
Oh, shit. I forgot they did that.
Yeah. You want to say anything else? Yeah. You want to say anything else about Cleveland being number 1?
Well, Myles Garrett, I have him clearly at number 1 here. You know, Tony brings up look. There's always going to be a compelling argument for either Myles Garrett or TJ Watt, right? Like, there's never going to be a definitive answer, right? You could point to win rate as a reason why Myles is superior. Is he is not just better than TJ in that he is significantly better, and that is a percentage stat, not necessarily an accounting stat. And that's where Myles Garrett excels in. You could also point out the fact that Myles is in a 4-2-5 scheme, essentially, where they run a lot of nickel and they just rush 4. So there's not even the intent really a lot of times to get pressure, and he still routinely leads the league in pressure in those situations. And again, when you're rushing 4 and a team like the Ravens, who keeps like 3 heads on Myles Garrett, is there, like he's consistently being double teamed. He's consistently being triple teamed, sometimes even chipped. And he still puts up these numbers. Look, there's never going to be a definitive way to settle this, especially when it's between a player on the Browns and a player on the Steelers. I don't see both parties. I don't see both parties being like, oh, let's be charitable to each side here, right? Like, that's not normally how these kind of debates go down. So you can go one way or the other. the more advanced metric people, they're probably going to lean towards Myles Garrett, but more traditional stats, probably going to lean towards TJ because the production's is always going to be higher. Like, I think TJ is going to retire with more sacks than Myles Garrett, just because the prime portion of their careers were in two different sets. I don't know what Myles Garrett would look like if he were in a blitz heavy scheme. That would be something to think about, but that's not what the Browns are planning to do anytime soon with him. And he's in an fortunate spot to where he is so talented that they can get away with it, right? So that's just kind of the argument there. The one thing I like to see out of Myles is he did get those penalties down, 4 penalties down from 8 last year or something crazy like that. He used to be offsides all the time, and most of the time he wasn't, but he was just too quick. He's just learned to take an inch off of his step. So he's brought the penalties down, a full season of production, 18 sacks. It's crazy. I feel like they can get a lot more out of Myles, and I think Myles can even get more out of him, right? I don't think we've seen the peak of Myles. I don't know. Do you guys feel like you've seen peak TJ Watt, at the best of him, or do you feel like there's more juice to squeeze out of that?
I wonder. No, the guy tied the sack record, so it's how many more?
Yeah, it's how much higher can he get?
I do feel like, though, you do always feel like, if you didn't know anything about their production, right, and you just watched one snap of TJ versus one snap of Myles, you'd be like, yeah, Myles should have way better stats all the time, right? And it is the interesting part of this debate that hasn't been the case, and that's what makes this fun to do this show.
And there's specific reasons I think Myles hasn't had the numbers behind him.
I will say this, Q. You said it's hard to separate these two. It's hard to here and there. I mean, I would say, if let's say one guy, one defensive player of the year, or one guy tied the sack record, I would say that those are, when one of those things happens, maybe we could use that as a separator when we get there.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
Wait, also first team All Pro. Where were they for first team All Pro?
They were both first team.
They were both 13 because there's 2 spots. There's 2 spots here, right?
And let's talk about.
But you can always. It's the Kobe argument, right? Where it's Steve Nash might have won the MVP more than Kobe, but was Kobe really worse than Steve Nash? It's ultimately. Yeah.
Q. What Sonny's saying is that we need because TJ and Myles both had first team All Pro. We need to use PFF
All Pro
as a tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker. Yeah.
Where was that?
That leans towards
I
Cleveland.
don't remember.
It leans towards
then
Cleveland.
Then it's Max Crosby is the greatest pass rusher in a generation. So.
Hey, man. If only he had help, right? If only he had help.
Exactly.
But yeah, I do worry about Myles though this year because I don't know about the help around him, right? Because boy, if Jadeveon Clowney gets hurt, which is not unlikely, it is Myles Garrett and the Pips. It is just him.
Who's your third?
Chase Winovich?
Wait, come on, Chase Winovich.
Chase Winovich.
Chase Winovich.
You had some decent numbers in 2020, right? Or 20, whatever. He's
not horrible.
Well, the thing with Chase is though, he's not going to be a 4-3 end, right? He's going to be a guy that you put in on the outside in a specific package. So he's going to play the 5 instead of that. I don't know. The Browns are going to try to run wide 9 here. I'm wondering why are they so weak at defensive tackle? It's really starting to bug me at this point. Why are we so weak at DT? But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But yeah, the style of off defense that they're in is always going to dictate the raw accounting numbers that they have. And so then it becomes down to something that's more inobjective, which is just watching the tape, win rate, stuff like that. It's never going to nobody's ever definitively winning an argument with a win rate percentage argument. But it is what it is. Both are really good. I think they're both about equally as good. And that's great for TJ Watt because he does not have the physical tools that Myles Garrett has. Now you could say if Myles Garrett was in that position, maybe he does get the half sack that TJ Watt didn't because he's just a little bit more athletic and able to do those things. But they're both excellent players that we're just fortunate to watch at the same time so often.
Exactly. I did pull up Chase Winovich's stats in New England if you guys want to read them. So remember this year, I believe Myles had 75 pressures somewhere around there and 16 sacks. 78 pressures. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So Chase Winovich had 74 pressures and 13 sacks in his 3 years in New England. So that just to let you know.
So if we yeah,
I was like, what? And then you did the 3 years. Okay.
3 years.
Yeah, so.
He had one good year, and then like he didn't play much the other 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. His first year, his rookie year.
Yeah, but the fact that
Bill
Belichick traded for him.
The thing about his rookie year, though, Q, is he only played 300 snaps that year. Once they got more exposed, once he got to 600 snaps the next year, fell off. So
yeah,
I think that's like for Chase.
Yeah, if Bill gave up with you on the 3-4 and then you're getting traded to a 4-3, I don't have high hopes. You know what I mean? Like I don't have high hopes there, but we'll see. Yeah. That's my reasoning. I think Miles and Jadeveon is just a better pairing than what you would have in TJ and Highsmith, which I did not think last year, which is why I put them over. I think did I? I don't know if I did.
Tony,
but I was high on Pittsburgh a little bit higher than I was.
Yeah,
the game doesn't start. The game doesn't start for another 40 minutes.
But the books close at like
no. Wait, the game doesn't start till 8?
Yeah.
It started at 7. Oh, baby, I got all
really
the time
don't start
in the world.
till 8.
Let's go. Let's get some super chats in. Ray Rags helped me out here. Another $5.
He's legitimately excited that he did not miss out on this opportunity.
The Raider out here playing Madden, just putting players out of position and drafting, signing players based on speed every time. Listen, that was Al Davis. He loves fast players. That's why they got guys like Darius Hayward-Bay, Nnamdi Asomugha. His son, I don't know if he cares as much about speed, but he's equally dumb when it comes to who he puts in charge of drafting.
Let's read a list of the Raiders' first-round picks since 2007 because we know about Jamarcus Russell, right? Darren McFadden, you can say that worked. Well, no, not really, because he was never healthy. But he was all
okay.
right.
He was okay.
He wasn't a bad player. And for this point, I'm just gonna go. Was he a bad football player? Darius Hayward-Bay, 7th overall. That's not good. Rolando McClain out of Alabama. That never panned out, did it? He was all right, but he was never 8th overall good.
Nope.
DJ Hayden.
Ooh. Oh, wait, is that the DB I'm thinking of?
That's the guy. 2013.
That's the guy.
DJ Hayden.
That's him.
All right. Then they got hot. They got hot here. Khalil Mack. Okay.
Yeah, that was their.
Unfortunately, too broke to keep him. Legitimately, too broke to keep him.
Yeah.
I mean, Raiders. Amari Cooper, pretty good. Got rid of him early too. But I mean, they're allergic to keeping these guys. Carl Joseph. Okay, that's not a hit there at the 14.
Swing and miss.
Garyon Conley. That's not terrible. He was 24. He was 24th pick.
Yeah, he was okay.
Colton Miller. Okay. Yeah, 15's high. Colton Miller.
He looked like a bust, but now he's good. He's legit good now.
Cleveland Farrell, we can all admit that wasn't good. 4th overall. Yeah. Josh Jacobs at 24. It's a running back, but that's about the range where you would take one.
Yeah.
Jonathan Abrams at 27. Not terrible there at 27. And then you got the worst. This is just the worst 3-year stretch. 2-year stretch that I could imagine. I mean, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah, the worst.
Both top 20 picks. All 3 top 20 picks.
But what was the Farrell? That was 2020?
Farrell was 2019.
Oh, was it
2019? I remember because he got to 4th overall because he just murdered one of Ohio State's tackles.
That's right.
The playoff game. Yeah, just absolutely destroyed him.
So they went with Farrell. They passed on Devin White.
Oh, let's see who they passed up on in 2019 at 4th overall. That might be interesting.
Oh, they probably passed on a ton of people. Is 2019 the draft that wasn't good? There was
they passed Devin White, Josh Allen.
Yeah, they passed on Devin White,
Brian Burns,
Josh Allen.
If they needed a pass rusher,
Josh
Brian
Allen,
Burns,
the defensive end, by the way, not Josh Allen, the quarterback.
Yeah, Josh Allen's not good. Josh Allen, defensive end's not good.
Jeffrey Simmons.
Brian Burns, Jeffrey Simmons, though. I mean, nobody was taking Jeffrey Simmons, number 4.
Ed Oliver, TJ Hawkinson. See, these were all good names.
That's not a bad draft.
AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel.
Those were later. I mean, those weren't,
Talk about a ghost of Tony, you follow college a little bit more. You remember the ghost of 5-star pass that is Greg Little, the offensive tackle? He was supposed to be like the dude.
Oh, you're talking about
remember Robert Gallery? No one was more shockingly a bust than Robert Gallery, the kid from Iowa.
Remember
the tackle.
Robinson?
No. Robert Nkidiche.
Oh, Cam Robinson?
Yeah.
Cam Robinson, he was 2 overall, I think. Something like that, something ridiculous like that to the Rams, right?
No, Robert Nkemdiche is the ultimate ghost of 5-star.
Oh, Robert Nkemdiche, another one.
Here's how sought after Robert Nkemdiche was. He committed to Auburn, committed to Clemson, wasn't it, right? For like 2 weeks, got all of his homeboys offers from Clemson in order for him to commit. And then bounced and played at like Mississippi, Ole Miss or something like that, so he could play with his brother.
That's the ultimate Gaster move.
He is the ultimate homeboy Hall of Fame. He got like 5 dudes scholarships that he had no business getting scholarships from such schools.
Sonny, the guy you're talking about is actually Greg Robinson. Cam Robinson, different.
Greg Robinson, yeah. He went to
Greg Robinson, Auburn.
He was a number 2 overall, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
He was good on the Browns for a couple of years, and then he got caught selling like 18 pounds of weed at the border or something crazy like that.
Oh,
yeah,
not good.
All right, Ray Rags here, another $5 super chat. Said, I hope you appreciate this gambling money, Tony. I know my bank account does not appreciate it. That's true. You know what, Ray Rags? I'm gonna head to the sportsbook right after I hit a broadcast. I want you to DM me. My DMs are open at Steeler Country on Twitter. I'll put in a $20 bet for whatever you want me to. You want me to put down that the Browns are going to win the division, that the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl, whatever you want. You tell me $20, I'm going to put that money down for you because you have been far, far too generous.
I'm waiting until like they drop the suspension news and that under dips for the Browns to like 6. I'm gonna take the over on that.
You actually can't bet the Browns right now. They took it off the board.
Yeah, I'm about to say they're gonna take it off the board until they announce the suspension because it was at 9.5. Deshaun gets like a full year suspension. That's gonna dip to like 4 or 5. I would take the over on that.
We're doing. Listen, I love this super chat, even though I disagree with the result. I absolutely love the process here. P. Crowley, $2 super chat says Browns number 1, Steelers number 2, pass rush win rate greater than blitz sacks.
If only we could get them to say that on the broadcast, right? You know what I mean?
We're just getting there with this pressures.
We're getting there, Tony.
We're getting there, little by little. All right.
We've got some PFF grades on the NBC broadcast now. I'm waiting until they go. Let's see. I want to see the on target. Let's go true pressure percentage here.
As soon as they start seeing, like CPOE for quarterbacks, like completion percentage over expectation for quarterbats and stuff, and like anytime if we ever see EPA per play for anything, I'm gonna lose my mind. All right, here are our rankings. These are the rankings for the AFC North. This is AFC North Talk's official rankings for Edge. Baltimore number 4. Cincinnati
can
number 3.
Can I contest that?
You can in a year or two when
you can't appeal. You can't.
Yeah, you can appeal.
You're stuck.
Well, with Goodell, listen, you never know. Goodell's a moron. You never know what he's going to do. Cincinnati number 3. The Steelers come in at number 2, and at number 1 is the Cleveland Browns. Thank you all for watching today. We'll be back with you next week.
I think
we're going to do. Let's just do defensive tackle, right?
Yeah,
D-tackle.
Yeah.
We want to get tackle out the way.
D-line. Yeah.
Because inside linebacker is really interesting. Corner's not that interesting, but then safety, it got so much more interesting this year.
Well, is Jesse Bates still on the team?
Hold on. Was Jesse Bates even good? Right? Because it's unfair to grade his postseason because no one else,
Don't do that for ending the show.
You can't.
You're gonna rile the Bengals fan here. They're gonna riot.
Oh wait.
And the shots.
We got to set this straight. We got to set the universe on straight. Sonny, does Lamar have a contract extension past?
What's going on here?
Past this year?
What are we talking about?
Is he?
To be honest, I don't like to think about it that much, but the
Steelers now pay Diontae and Boswell.
What is the over under? You know, and look at Tony. I'm speaking your language.
I mean, because I'm trying to think of a date. Like the over under's got to be September 10th, and at this point, over.
I don't think he gets a deal done before the season starts.
I
don't think it's. All bets are off at that point.
It's going to be what an interesting division we're in. What an interesting division this is in.
What
if Deshaun gets like a 2-year ban? The Browns get out of the contract and then boom, just sign Lamar Jackson in free agency.
Oh wow! You see, Ray-Rack, Dorial Green Beckham.
Dorial Green Beckham, the 8th ranked
ultimate
player.
goes to 5-star pass.
Yes, wow. This is my favorite. the like looking up who was like a 5-star recruit is a fun exercise. Go to 24/7. They do a great job. Look up
so
up
many of these dudes just end up as special teamers. Like, well, was it Ricky Seals-Jones? He was supposed to be
Ricky Seals-Jones. He was.
Could you imagine what that's like to go from like you number 1 overall in your whole class to, hey, bro, you gonna have to bust that wedge, Ricky Seals-Jones. Like that's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough life.
I think so. Someone here is asking if we're going to do head coach and GM. I'm actually trying to do the math right now. We did
It's going to be close. It's going to be close.
DT, we need to do linebacker. We need to do cornerback. We need to do safety. And we need to do a hot take show. We'll see. We're going to try and get it in there. We'll see. We'll see. We're definitely not going to do kicker or anything like that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Yeah, we could. All right. Thank you all for watching. We will be back next week. We'll see you then.